I would like to note that the interpreter for this evening is Antonio Bravo. Please raise your hand, Antonio, sitting in the back. Ask him for a listening device if you would like interpretation services. Agendas are now available in Spanish and are provided on white paper in the back of the council chambers. Antes de llamar a la Junta Orden, me gustaría notar que contamos con servicios de interpretación para esta Junta. El señor Bravo está sentado atrás. Las agendas en español están disponibles en la parte posterior de la sala en papel blanco. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the City Council meeting of June 16th, 2026. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Aguilera. Councilmember Batalla.
Here.
Councilmember Soto.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores.
Here.
Mayor Patino.
Here. City Attorney Mr. Watson, would you please give the closed session report?
Yes, Madam Mayor. With respect to items 4A and 4B, instructions were provided to the negotiators on behalf of the city, and no further information at this time is reportable.
Thank you. So we will now present a proclamation honoring Ann McCarty for her years of dedicated service to the community. And Councilmember Soto will be making that presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am so delighted to be able to present this proclamation to Ann McCarthy. I have known her for a number of years now, and I'm a big fan and admirer of her work, her leadership, and the pivotal role she plays in our community. Whereas the City of Santa Maria recognizes Ann McCarty for more than 30 years of dedicated service, compassionate leadership, and commitment to supporting survivors and strengthening our community. And whereas Ann began her career with the North County Rape Crisis and Child Protection Center in 1994 as the hotline coordinator, where she worked alongside volunteers, trained advocates, and community partners to help build programs focused on education, prevention, and support. And whereas Ann became executive director in 2015 and has provided exceptional leadership in advancing the center's mission, fostering community partnerships, and ensuring continued services for individuals and families impacted by sexual assault, child abuse, and human trafficking. And whereas throughout her tenure, Ann has been a dedicated advocate and community leader, serving on numerous community initiatives and helping strengthen collaboration throughout Santa Barbara County. And whereas the City of Santa Maria proudly honors Ann McCarty for her years of service, advocacy, and lasting contributions, and extends its appreciation for the positive impact she has made in the lives of countless individuals within our community. Now, therefore, Alice Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognizes and honors Ann McCarty for her outstanding dedication, leadership, and service to our community, and commend her for the lasting impact she has made through her commitment to advocacy, healing, and positive change.
Ann, you can have as much time as you'd like.
Well, y'all pull your britches up, because here we go. Actually, I'll keep this short. Mayor Patino, members of the City Council, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you for this honor and this recognition, and just the honor of being here in this room one more time. I thank you for that. But what's also very important to me tonight are my family, my workers, my staff, my family that have come to be here tonight to see this. In 1994, when I started, I never thought I'd be standing here 32 years later. Never in my wildest dreams. But you know, when you find your niche in life and it brings you great pleasure to do what you do, even on your hardest days, that's where you stay. And I'm so happy that I did, even on the darkest days and the darkest nights, because I know that the work that the North County Rape Crisis Center does in our communities that we serve is critically important. And without us, so many people are unserved. And I know that all of these wonderful individuals that sit behind me, whether they be at the Rape Crisis Center, at the District Attorney's Office, at the hospital, the nurses that do our exams, the educators in the schools, all of them are going to keep the work going. I didn't start the programs. I just tried as best I could to keep them lifted up. And I think that we've done a really good job of doing that. And receiving this means the world to me, and I appreciate you all for it. So thank you.
Thank you. You know, it doesn't seem like it's been all these years since you took the helm there. And, you know, we can list all the things you've done and all the things that we've seen that you have done in the community, and that's immense. But it's all the things that we don't do, that we don't know that you've done, and all of your staff, and things out there that keep you going and motivate you. So we certainly appreciate you and what you've done in our community. And I know you've done a lot in Lompoc, too. So it's not just in Santa Maria. It's all over the county. So we thank you. Next, we will receive a presentation from the Santa Maria Valley Chamber of Commerce highlighting economic development efforts and initiatives for the quarter of October 2025 to 2026.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Patino and council members. On behalf of the Santa Maria Valley Chamber and Visitors Bureau, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We genuinely value this partnership and the time you invest in staying connected to the work we're doing on behalf of this community. First, Molly Alves, our Vice President of Operations, will be covering membership, major events, and workforce development, followed by Suzanne Singh, our Vice President of Economic Development and Government Affairs, will cover economic development programs and tourism. I'll close us out at the end, but tonight we're presenting a 6-month report from October to March. I'm very proud to say that it's been a very productive 6 months. Everything you'll see tonight flows from a simple but powerful mission. The mission of fostering a thriving, inclusive, and resilient community by leveraging resources, strengthening partnerships, and promoting economic vitality. This mission guides every decision we make. It's grounded in 6 core values that we focus on every day. People first, accountability to our promises, respect for every individual, a relentless pursuit of excellence, genuine collaboration across organizations, and unwavering integrity in everything that we do. You'll see all 6 of those values reflected in the work Molly and Suzanne are about to share. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Molly. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. As Michael mentioned, I'm Molly Alves. I serve as Vice President Operations for the Santa Maria Valley Chamber. I'm going to speak a little bit about our membership and events and workforce programs over the last 6 months. So membership at the Chamber is looking strong. We continue to get new members. We had 35 new members over this 6-month time period. Retention remains very strong, and we actually saw from our quarterly feedback survey, we had the strongest level of feedback, most positive feedback we've received since we implemented that. So definitely trending in the right direction in terms of serving our community and serving our membership. We have a number of chamber committees that we run. These chamber committees serve as kind of our advisory councils to the chamber. They help understand what issues they see in the community, what direction we may take on those issues. We bring some of their ideas or direction they may want to take back to our board of directors. And we currently have 6 active committees with over 90 active committee members serving on those committees. Our newest committee is our San Maria Valley Young Professionals Steering Committee, and that program we just implemented in January, and that committee helps us steer the direction of the programming we're providing to young professionals in the Santa Maria Valley. Networking events, as you probably all know, we do a lot of networking at the Chamber, a lot of networking events. We have our weekly Friday Build Your Business, or BYB, networking event every week. We host monthly mixers, ribbon cuttings. Once a month, we do a few of those, and also obviously our major events, which I'll touch on briefly. But yeah, over 2,300 networking participants over the last 6 months. So a lot of engagement from our community, a lot of value and connection made through those events. And always great to celebrate new businesses and businesses celebrating milestones with our ribbon cuttings. As far as major events, I think this is one of the kind of busiest times for us, that March to October time period. If we think back to State of the City, many of you were speaking at that event, went very well. I think the community enjoyed hearing diverse perspectives from different city leadership at that event. Also held our Freedom Monument ceremony. We had a tourism celebration with our tourism marketing team. Our State of Education event, our State of Vandenberg event out on the Space Force base. And we also hosted our Tri-County Chamber Alliance annual meeting. That meeting rotates throughout the Tri-County area, so Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura counties. And this year was our turn to host that, so it was great to be out at Bienvenido Winery and kind of share some of our local tourism that we have here in the Santa Maria Valley with our neighbors. I'm going to move into a little bit of our workforce development, programming, and partnerships. So our teacher tours, this is a program we continue to run with the Santa Barbara County Education Office. We take career technical education teachers, so high school teachers out at the CTE Center around to different businesses every month. Helps them really build relationships with the local businesses, understanding what they need for hiring, opportunities to host internships. They've gotten some teacher externships out of these connections they build. So we wrapped up this program for the school year, so held 4 tours. We visited 13 businesses, had over 80 teachers participate in that. We culminate that program every year doing a county-wide kind of event out at the Space Force base, and they got to see the NASA facility out there this year, which was pretty cool. So a great program, a great partnership we continue around workforce development and strengthening those relationships between education and business. Our Santa Maria Valley Young Professionals Group launched in January. We're really excited about this program we're kind of bringing back. We used to have, years ago, you may remember, before COVID, had a Young Professionals Group. We've heard a need from our community to want to bring that back, have opportunities for young professionals in the Santa Maria Valley looking to build their networks, build their leadership development skills, connect more with local leaders. And so we've been hosting monthly meetings for that program. We have a different speaker every month, some networking. Those are free to attend, open to the public, really targeting people getting into their careers, so college-age students or people very early in their careers, kind of that under 40 range. We're also going to be launching a mentorship program through the Young Professionals Group soon, so looking forward to that. I would say our team has done a great job. We encourage some of our younger team members to take this program on and take the lead on it, and we've been really impressed with the community that they're building through the Young Professionals Group. Our Next Gen CEO program, this continues to run strong. This is a program for like 6th, 7th grade students where they get to learn how to be their own boss and start their own business. We partner with the Boys and Girls Club on this program. The students go through about a 6-week program understanding cost modeling, how to market a business, how to do proper customer service, what it really takes to be an entrepreneur. At the end of that, they get to launch their business and sell their products to the public. It's a lot of fun. Our most recent cohort was over at Kermit McKenzie Intermediate School out in Guadalupe. And we also had a pop-up event in December for our alumni of that program who are still selling their products. So that was fun. Around Christmas time over at the mall, they got a chance to sell their products over there. So we're looking forward to this next year and continuing that partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Leadership Santa Maria Valley, another great kind of leadership program we run through the chamber. They actually just had their graduation last Friday for this recent class, but October through March, you'll see the different topic days they had there. They did a really impressive legacy project out in Tanglewood at the junior high out there, created a mural. They raised all the money, brought in the mural list, and actually had extra funds left over from their fundraising efforts that they were able to donate to the local school out there. So great program. We are still accepting a few more applications for this next year's cohort if anyone's interested, but that program continues to run strong. We get a lot of great engagement. I know a number of city people go through that every year as well, so we appreciate that partnership. We partner very closely with the Santa Barbara County Workforce Development Board. We host monthly business tours with them and visited some great local businesses through that program. Also continue to partner with them on their Grow Your Business program, which offers some funding for businesses who are looking to provide paid work experience or part-time work or some upskilling services within their business. The Workforce Development Board has programming where they can connect individuals to those businesses who have those specific needs. Work SBC is another program that we run with the Workforce Development Board, and this is a program that we started to really help create kind of an ecosystem and mapping all of the education and workforce development experiences that are out there in the county. And so when you're looking at the career pathway developments and kind of workforce pipeline for someone from an early age out to when they're in their career, what are all the opportunities for internships, for getting on the job training, for at a young age, getting teachers and business leaders in the classroom, what are all those opportunities countywide, and how do we understand all those opportunities? And so it's kind of a program, we're in the thick of it right now, but it's been a great program to convene all these leaders from education and industry and economic development, and how do we gain clarity at a countywide level on all those opportunities. Partners in Education, another partnership we have, great organization through the County Education Office. We continue to help with their career coaching and mock interviews. Again, building the future generation of leaders in our community, building a strong local talent pipeline for our Santa Maria Valley residents is really important. And that's a lot of fun to see those students develop their confidence through those programs and participate in the mock interviews. It's a great experience. I encourage you all to take part in that if you haven't yet. And with that, I will hand it over to Suzanne, who's going to cover our economic development and tourism. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Alves.
Good evening, Mayor Patino, City Council members, and staff. Happy to be here tonight and happy to go over what we've done in the last 6 months. So just briefly, our advocacy efforts, we have taken on a heavier advocacy role supporting our businesses. So the last 6 months, we supported or opposed 14 business or non-business friendly proposed legislation. And I think for us, that's really helping out the business community. We conducted our business advocacy roundtable committees. And Molly brought up, but being a member of the Tri-County Chamber Alliance, we were privileged this year to host their annual meeting here in Santa Maria. So it was really a neat thing for us to be able to do, for them to want to come up and be in our community and see what we have going on. Our team attended over 120 meetings and events in support of the businesses and the Santa Maria Valley community. We had 11 requests for support in the business, interactions. So we had 11 interactions with business attraction in the last 6 months. That means businesses that are interested in coming into the community or want to start a business. We had 11 of those in the last 6 months, and we provided support and services to 23 businesses that are already here. Our Hispanic business support efforts are just rocking. I mean, I am so impressed with what we've done in this area of our business community. We've identified the group as the Hispanic Business Alliance. We call it the HBA. And we had our large Posada Mixer in December. We held 2 Grow Your Business events. That's where the Hispanic businesses can come and learn things that they need to learn to help them in their businesses. We had over 330 attendees at our events for the Hispanic Business Alliance events. And we outreached and assisted a total of 21 businesses. and our member base is growing. It's 215. On to Visitors Bureau and tourism. So this is our transient occupancy tax data, our monthly comparison. The monthly data highlights the seasonality of our tourism sector and the immediate impact of local investments. Early 2026 data shows promising growth, with February of 2026 being at an all-time, well, not an all-time high, but very high, 218,000+ in revenue, already outperforming both 2024 and 2025 for the same month. This steady performance reflects the success of targeted visitor campaigns and the influx of travelers attracted to the region's unique amenities. This next slide is our annual transient occupancy tax, and it highlights the Santa Maria Valley's strong recovery from the 2020 pandemic, with a record peak in 2022. Recent years have shown a normalization of revenue. The sector remains in a stabilization phase, with totals exceeding pre-pandemic levels. So that's before 2019. This long-term resilience is supported by ongoing property investments and the recent remodels, which tells the story of our region's enduring appeal as a travel destination despite broader economic headwinds. The team attended several educational and promoting events these past 6 months. We learned a lot, gained some fresh ideas to bring back to our community. We connected with interested travelers to come to the area, where we really brought a new look and really shined with our new travel show backdrop and materials. We distributed and passed out over 1,400 marketing collateral pieces. We had over 211,000 website visits and 4,000 plus website hotel referrals. We hosted 4 FAM tours with prominent influencers. We also successfully pulled off a restaurant month and a craft cocktail contest, with 11 restaurant participating and 7 cocktail participants. Contest winners were the Homewood Suites, the Winery, and the Range Kitchen and Bar, and then Costa del Oro. Thank you for your time. I'll give it back to Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. As you can see, we did not slow down in March. In our next report, you'll hear about our Candidate Academy, the North County Economic Forecast, and our upcoming Women of Excellence event. The launch of our new Hispanic Business Alliance membership model will soon follow. We just went live with a new website. Our new community calendar is being configured as we speak, and we're well on our way for the creation of the Santa Maria Valley Barbecue Association, which we think is going to be a great point of pride for our region. Suzanne and Molly and the entire chamber staff have put in extraordinary work in this period. Tonight's presentation is a reflection of our commitment to accountability, excellence, and to our community. We are deeply grateful for the city's continued partnership and investment in what we do together. This work is most effective when we are aligned in our strategy and we move forward as collaborative partners. With that, Mayor Patino, the council and council members, we welcome any questions you might have for us tonight.
Any questions from the council? No? I do. Ms. Singh, you were talking about the services that you provide to new businesses. Say people are coming here and they want to start a business, and I know that we work together with you on different things, but what are some of the services you have provided?
We will introduce them to local brokers and help them find locations they might be interested in. We will introduce them to those people who can help them through the development phase. We will introduce them to the city and make sure that they are connected to Shannon. So we do a lot of those things for those attraction type businesses. And the other services that we provide to the businesses that are already here might be just, how do I renew my license, or how do I take care of this code enforcement letter I got. So we do a lot of those things.
Okay. Did you help sort of hold their hand through different processes?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of what we do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much for the report. Ms. Soto?
Sorry, Madam Mayor. You, in your question, it made me think of something that you all presented, which was like your Friday mixers for individuals who are interested in starting a business.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, and when and where those take place, and where we can find information on that?
Yeah, so BYB is Build Your Business. It's our Friday networking event, and those take place every Friday at 8 a.m. at The Collective over at Simple Cafe on Skyway. We welcome guests to attend a few times before they join Chamber membership, but kind of a leads group opportunity for to connect. We have a showcase, and yeah.
That's great. And then when it comes to individuals who are looking to start their business, do you also point them in the right direction for financing and loans or grants that may be available to them? Yes?
Yeah, definitely. I think Suzanne and Everett Economic Development Team have a lot of information on all of those opportunities. And so if businesses ever have a question on how do I get started, if they don't know the answer, we have a lot of resources that we connect them with that we can help them find the answer to. So.
It's really interesting, the next gen CEO, when you see these kids trying to start their own business, and they'll make their product and then they go to sell it. And if you haven't been to one of those, you really need to go. So, and this has been maybe 2 or 3 Christmases ago, I bought soap. And it's so pretty, and it comes in different colors. So I bought the soap, and I took it home, and I set it on my counter in the kitchen because I was going to give it to my granddaughters. And I have a big candy jar like this in my kitchen. And my husband is Mr. Neat. He doesn't like to see anything sitting around. So he throws those 2 bars of soap into the candy jar. And I'm looking for them, but I never thought to ask. I thought, well, he probably didn't take them. It's soap, right? Well, anyway, I had to throw out all the candy that was in there and restock the candy jar and explain to him that these were bars of soap. Anyway, but they make them look beautiful, so they did look like candy. Anyway, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
We'll now receive a presentation on this year's fireworks education campaign and enforcement efforts to be presented by Administrative Analyst Jane.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, directors, and the Santa Maria community. I am Jane Tay, the city's administrative analyst. In this presentation about our 2026 fireworks campaign, I will provide information on the city's 3-level approach, consisting of education, enforcement, and entertainment in mitigating illegal firework use leading up to and over the 4th of July weekend. The city encourages the Santa Maria community to celebrate our nation's birthday responsibly. We recognize the significant challenges associated with illegal fireworks use and understand the disruptive impacts that loud explosions can have on residents, particularly those who are noise sensitive, as well as on pets. Through continued education, enforcement, and community engagement, we hope to encourage safer and more considerate ways to celebrate. The city continues to allow the sale of safe and sane fireworks that start at ground level and do not go up in the sky. This year, we have 23 city-approved fireworks booths, as pictured on the map. Per City Council's prior direction and the municipal code, the fire department sales are allowed between June 28th and July 4th. To promote education in the annual city fireworks rules and guidelines, 15,000 flyers were printed to be distributed. These flyers will be included with every fireworks sale from the 23 city-approved fireworks booths. Outreach will be conducted via email, phone, and in-person visits to various Spanish and English-speaking businesses and organizations ranging from the Santa Maria, Bonita, and high school districts, the County of Santa Barbara Animal Services and Public Health Department, and local businesses including carnicerias or meat delis, cafes, local animal veterinary clinics, and shops. Also pictured on the map on the slide above, if you'd like to take a look. Other businesses interested in receiving digital flyers may contact me directly, and I will gladly provide them via email. We welcome and encourage their participation in sharing this information with the community. Social media posts, along with paid ads in English and Spanish, will be broadcasted on local radio. 30-second public service announcements from our fire chief are provided to KSBY, KYT, and Telemundo with a request to air them as a public service message. We also plan to utilize our city government TV Comcast Channel 23, news releases, smart bus infotainment screens, and posters at city offices to convey the message. Additional tools include free yard signs, which are like this. We have them in both English and Spanish. These will also be available at the City Hall reception window, and pet crates are available from County Animal Services. Residents may call and leave a message to report illegal fireworks on the City Fireworks Hotline at 925-0951, extension 3473, with details about address or location, name or names of persons involved, time and date of the violation. Messages will be monitored by the police department. Enforcement will include combating illegal fireworks use through the issuance of a $1,000 fine to violators. Last year, we issued 119 citations, an 89% increase from 2024, where we issued 63 citations. The Santa Maria Police Department will deploy officers from July 2nd through the 4th of July weekend to identify and address illegal fireworks activity. Fire prevention inspectors will partner with police officers to conduct patrols throughout the community. Santa Maria Fire Department is once again contracting with a specialized vendor to operate an aircraft equipped with GPS and video technology. The aircraft will monitor activity throughout the city and can accurately identify the launch locations of illegal fireworks. This technology allows us to trace incidents to specific properties, and property owners can be subject to enforcement action and violations. Residents may also report illegal fireworks through the city website. Since successful enforcement actions require witness testimony, the online complaint form allows residents to provide their information and indicate their willingness to participate as a witness if necessary. For entertainment, we have a drone show scheduled at 8:30 p.m. during Downtown Friday at 501 South McClellan on July 3rd. Additionally, a fun and family-friendly event will be hosted by our Recreation and Parks Department on Saturday, July 4th from 12 to 4 p.m. at the Elks Baseball Field behind the Abel Maldonado Community Youth Center, 600 South McClellan Street, that will include pie and watermelon eating contests, youth arts and crafts, bounce houses and a foam pit, photo booth, food vendors, along with a beer garden. A concert by Unfinished Business hits the stage from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. Lastly, free public swim will also be available at the Paul Nelson Aquatic Center. This concludes my presentation. Chief Dandridge, Chief Williams, and I are available for any questions.
Any questions? Okay. Yes, Ms. Flores?
Can you tell me approximately how many firework booth stands we have in the city of Santa Maria only?
29.
Let me go back to that slide.
I think
I
20.
don't know if there's a way for me to zoom in, but for the city of Santa Maria, within our jurisdiction, it's 23.
Just 23 firework
23
booths?
approved city, yes.
And another question. That number, if they call, somebody's going to answer it?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Flores, the fireworks hotline that you're referring to is being monitored by the police department, and it will be monitored by the police department. Individuals have been linked to that. So whatever voicemails come up, it will populate on the individuals within the police department's voicemail.
Okay, so I say that because I give out little stickers for when I have town hall meetings, and that number was on there, and we had a lot of issues in District 2 last year. And so they complained about there was no response. No one was able to answer the phone, but yet there was a drone that went over their house, and the residents inside the house were not lighting fireworks, but the people across the street were, but they gave everybody a ticket.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Flores, in answer to that question, I know for a fact today I made sure that that extension, I actually checked with our voicemail system to ensure that that extension would go, that voicemails would be forwarded to the appropriate people within the police department. So I am sure this time it will be monitored.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Soto?
Thank you. I don't know if Councilmember Flores' comment was fully addressed, though, because it sounds like it was another home that was setting up the fireworks, but yet that resident that was sharing what happened also, I'm assuming, was fined, or?
Yeah, he was fined, and he called me and told me, hey, I wasn't lighting fireworks, it was my neighbor across the street, but because when the drone came over their house, they just assumed it was him, and they gave him a ticket instead of the person that was really lighting the fireworks. So I did address it with our chief, and he took care of it. But, you know, it can be hit and miss, so we have to be careful even with that.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Flores, if Chief Dandridge wants to further explain on that.
And I would appreciate knowing how we could prevent that in the future.
Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for the question. In regards to the drone and the way that we go about monitoring that, the drone has GPS locations, so we look to see and target the actual parcels that the fireworks are coming from. Before we issue citations, however, we have a process that goes. The individuals have opportunities to plead their case, and we don't just arbitrarily give the tickets, the citations. In regards to the hotline, if you call the hotline, it actually gives you a telephone number to call directly to PD.
No.
Change that because it was just giving the generic police
Yeah.
department phone
Right.
number.
I got you, okay. So that was my understanding, that it gave so my apologies. Thank you for clarifying. It did give you a telephone number to PD, but it is being monitored now by PD. So Ms. Jane said that it's going to be monitored this year in regards to that hotline. But as far as our involvement with the citations that are being given, we want to deter the use of illegal fireworks. Illegal fireworks are hazardous and can be very dangerous to our community. There's been instances already in which we have had to respond to members of our community that have injured themselves very significantly due to the use of illegal fireworks already. We want to deter, we want to caution the public, just explain the inherent dangers of illegal fireworks, and encourage that we celebrate the 250th year of our country in a safe and sane manner. So we will, anytime that those citations are issued by the aircraft, we will review them, scrutinize them to their fullest before we go about finalizing issuance of any citations. That's my promise to you and the community.
Thank you. Yeah, because my neighbor, wasn't my neighbor, but it was across off of Donovan. Thank God he filmed it, and he's a veteran. So he called me right away. He said, look, I filmed this. We were inside. I'm a veteran. I don't even want to hear fireworks. He said, I have a sign in front of my house, but they were blowing up the illegal fireworks right in the middle of the street like they do, right? It's a fire show right behind my house. And so he said that he filmed it, and then, but he was the one that was issued the ticket, not the ones that were lighting the fireworks. So then I referred him to your office, and thank God he had that video, you know, because he was fined $1,000.
Yes, ma'am, we understand.
So
I'm
that's,
happy.
to me, is an issue that we have to be careful, you know, with who the drone is flying over or saying that they're the ones that are lighting fireworks. You could clearly see in that video that he showed me, they weren't even outside. He was filming from inside his house.
Yes, ma'am. And just know also, with the fire investigators and PD, the collaboration that we have monitoring the days previous and the day of July 4th, we'll have our investigators, they'll also have cameras on them to be able to capture exactly what's going on in the situations. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank
Did you have another question?
I do have questions. You know, I think many residents would agree that even with the steps that the city has taken to reduce the number of illegal fireworks in our community, it's still such a it's still a big problem and a dangerous one at that. And so I know that, you know, every night in my neighborhood I hear 3-4 fireworks pop off, and so I don't know what the enforcement has looked like thus far since the start of this year, and I don't know if there's any updates that you can provide us.
Right now, all we can do, we don't have anyone patrolling the areas right now, but what we do encourage the public to do is be willing to call in, make a report, and unfortunately, the challenge is people aren't willing to testify, come forth, and actually be put on record in regards to their neighbor, and it's understandable. Once again, those are the challenges we face, and every year, all we're trying to do is educate a little bit more, educate on the inherent dangers, and hope in time it's going to be a cultural change that we have to have here in Santa Maria.
Yeah, with that and the cultural change, or shift, I wonder if even, I mean, I'm curious to know how many neighboring cities allow the sale of sane and safe fireworks, and I wonder if there's any correlation between the sale of sane and safe fireworks and how that promotes perhaps, you know, the usage of illegal fireworks. And so I don't know if anyone on staff is able to speak to that, or even what neighboring cities are doing when it comes to selling safe and sane fireworks.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Soto, what other communities are doing right now, I'm not familiar with, so I can't speak to that. I apologize. But here we do sell safe and sane, and when you look at the correlation between illegal fireworks and safe and sane, I don't know if we can make that correlation. We have laws on the books right now, statutes that stipulate that illegal fireworks, the ones that go up in the air, are not to be used. That hasn't seemed to slow down some members. But I will share an anecdotal. Last year, when a couple years ago, we first used the drone. There was a couple of members of our community, Councilmember Flores, that received actually the $1,000 fines. 3 families, different sections of our city. When they came to pay the fine, they said, I know what we're doing this year, and we're not going to be lighting off fireworks. One family at a time is all we could try. In time, hopefully, we do make a cultural shift and just continue the education of our community on the inherent dangers of illegal fireworks.
Do we see an increase in service calls during 4th of July or 4th of July weekend or the holiday?
Typically, we do see an uptick in fires, rubbish fires, grass fires. We've been fortunate here in Santa Maria that we haven't had any big conflagrations of home businesses on fire. But anytime illegal fireworks are used, that's always a possibility. We monitor, and after the 4th of July, I'll have actually statistics of what we do and do a comparison and share that with the council.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I probably, and this is not scientific at all, but when the fireworks booths get set up and they have a certain time, and the people that purchase these are told when they can set off the fireworks, and they pretty much, I think they just do that because they buy them for their families, for their little kids, and they set them off on the 4th of July. But if you want to say premeditated on the illegal fireworks, you know, They've started how long ago? And they will continue to do that. So we don't have oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. On those 119 citations, were we able to collect?
Yes, ma'am. We were able to collect the
Good.
majority of those. There was very few that we were able to dismiss.
Okay.
And the ones, as I stated before, the ones that have been shown that we will dismiss.
Good. I probably shouldn't even ask this question. Is our aircraft out now, available
No.
now?
We contract, Madam Mayor, the day
Okay.
of the 4th of July. That will be the only time that particular
When is that
one-
again? Just the 4th of July?
On the 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
On the day of. But we could always expand. We'll look to see. And if there's a desire from council to expand that program to days before, leading up to the 4th, that is always a possibility
So
that we
if
can
we
do
get
too.
this drone that the PD wants, then we can use that to do that, like right now, right? And with that drone, we can be very specific as to who's doing this also?
Good evening. Christopher Williams, Chief of Police. Madam Mayor and Council, that is correct. Once we establish the drone first responder program, one of the parameters that we could set is to respond to those types of calls for service. They are, if you remember from my presentation, they are linked with our computer-aided dispatch. So the pilot, if it met the parameters, and that's what we set up, it can respond and record the violations that could be used for civil assessments.
Thank you. Because what I'm hearing now are worse, I think, I don't know what you'd call, they're like bombs that I'm
Yes.
hearing now.
Yes. I think the fire chief would agree. The issues that we have with fireworks going off are not the safe and sane fireworks. They're the ones that are illegal that are being set off.
I'd hate to put you on the spot and ask this question, but we had a bad accident. It's been a week, 2 weeks ago. Did you want to mention that? You don't have to show pictures.
No, Madam Mayor, as I shared before, the fire department responded to an incident where members of our community were significantly injured due to the use of illegal fireworks. I believe it would be best for me to just leave it at that.
And they were very young.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's such a tragedy, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Mr. Bataya? Yep, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jane, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, Ms. Tay? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. The next item on the agenda is the public comment. Madam Clerk, could you please read the criteria?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Speakers may provide public comments on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, maximum 15 minutes per public comment period. Unless the majority of the council objects, the mayor may provide speakers more or less time to speak. All comments or queries shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any specific member thereof. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954282, the Ralph M. Brown Act, no action or discussion by the City Council shall be undertaken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda except to briefly provide information, ask for clarification, provide direction to staff, or schedule a matter for a future meeting.
Thank you. The first one is Roberta Thompson, followed by Gary Hall, followed by Nicole Bryant. Good evening, Ms. Thompson.
Good evening. My name is Roberta Thompson. I live in District 1. I travel the intersection of North Broadway and Prescott Lane frequently. This is a dangerous intersection. Many drivers do not follow proper traffic procedures. I, myself, have been rear-ended at that intersection. My husband's car was sideswiped by someone trying to go from the middle left turn lane to the right turn only lane. The other driver fled the scene. I asked the city principal planning engineer in January for help. Shortly thereafter, a directional flashing sign was set up near the intersection, and it helped for a while. Since then, that sign has been removed. The engineer wrote to me about 1 month ago after I asked for an update. He replied, and I quote, "The city has no intent to add anything else," end quote. I am asking for law enforcement presence during peak traffic times. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gary Hall. Oh,
What
go ahead.
intersection was that again?
Presker. Yeah.
I find it concerning that all we responded was, we have no intent to do anything else.
Yes, thank you, Brett Fogoni, Public Works Director. The context of that comment is that there's nothing else that we can do with the current project in the restriping and the work that we did out there to add the other lane. There is going to be improvements to the intersection once we do the interchange. And so we're designing and changing that roadway, expanding it, including other bike lanes once we do that. So I do apologize for the context in which that comment was provided, but it was in the context of the project itself. There's really nothing else that we can do to improve that intersection at the moment without major construction.
Was the sign, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Was the sign taken down?
So typically when we have new traffic patterns or if we change striping, we put a sign up that says new traffic pattern, this has changed, and the California MUTC, the rules that sort of govern that advise on how long those signs should be there and then when the sign should be removed. And we took a look at the request. We've had other complaints in the area, and we look at those, and a lot of those were related to people not necessarily obeying traffic laws, and not so much as an engineering issue. And so the messaging board is to advise people of a new traffic pattern or a change that they may not be used to. So we do try to deploy those elsewhere in the city as we have other traffic changes as well.
Thank you.
Would this be a good location for the cameras?
Oh, the traffic.
I won't even, that's okay.
We'd have to look at the data.
Okay.
I'd probably say no at the moment because there's changes coming in within a couple of years
Oh, okay.
With the
once we do the interchange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've driven up there, yeah, I don't live in the area, but I've driven up there several times, and it's extremely
Yeah.
dangerous. You have to watch where you're going because you have to
Yeah.
watch for the other cars.
Yeah, we
They don't-
keep
they
an
don't-
eye on it.
They don't
I've-
even stop at the stop sign. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I drove it this morning. I do drive it. We do monitor that area. I can empathize with what's being said here, but there are changes coming.
Thank you. Gary Hall, followed by Nicole Bryant, followed by Andrew Baumeister.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, staff, and the citizens of Santa Maria. My name is Gary Hall. I'm a resident of Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates at 2135 North Railroad Avenue here in Santa Maria. I represent the North Santa Barbara County Manufactured Homeowners Team, or NSBIT. NSBIT's primary goal remains to provide protection to all Santa Maria mobile home residents presently living in an unregulated rental market. Yes, we continue to ask the City of Santa Maria to stand with us in maintaining affordable housing. Affordable mobile home living is vanishing here in Santa Maria and all across California. I have and will continue to point out to you how the 2020 model lease and enforcement agreements, with all their flaws, have proven to be ineffective in protecting homeowner equity and maintaining affordable mobile home housing, which of course is what it was originally intended to do. I have repeatedly reminded you that on June 7th, 2022, now 4 years ago, this council passed a motion with the intention of improving the 2020 model lease or replacing it. The City Council has done neither. Now is the time to take action to replace the model lease with a uniform, mandatory, and enforceable mobile home rent stabilization program, much like those in our neighboring city and county jurisdictions. Please help us find a way to get this on a future meeting's agenda. I missed your June 2nd meeting, but I have reviewed the meeting video. Budget issues were front and center then, as they will be tonight. You have very tough decisions to make. I'm very interested to hear what the new reserve policy will entail, and I'm anxious to learn what specific actions will be taken to close the deficit and still treat all employees fairly. On a positive note, Santa Maria Community Development personnel have informed me that the draft Senior Mobile Home Park Zoning Overlay Ordinance was well received at the May 21st Planning Commission study session. The final version of the ordinance will be presented for consideration at the July 1st Planning Commission. And yes, I will be attending. I want to publicly thank the Community Development Department for getting this ordinance to this point. Without this ordinance, Santa Maria Mobile Home seniors will continue to live with the ongoing threat that their senior mobile home park could be converted to an all-age park. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Bryant, followed by Andrew Baumeister, followed by Maya Hoffman. Good evening, Ms. Bryant.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Nicole Bryant, representing SEIU Local 620 and the city's general unit employees. You'll be hearing from several of our members this evening, people who work in all departments, serve your residents, and keep this city running every day. Their voices matter, and they are here to share what decisions for their labor contract mean in real terms. We do want to acknowledge that since the last meeting, the city has stepped back some of its more severe proposals. That matters, and we greatly appreciate that movement. Thank you. However, the core issue remains unresolved and is what we are here to address this evening. SEIU members are still not being offered equitable cost of living adjustments or health care contributions compared to police and fire. A 0% cost of living adjustment for SEIU in the face of rising inflation is still a real cut to our members' purchasing power and financial security. At the same time, through your consent calendar item this evening, the City Council will be moving forward with a 4% cost of living increase for fire and a 1% base salary equity adjustment for police after their 5% cost of living adjustment this last January. These adjustments were approved last May and March, respectively, when the council already had full knowledge of the city's structural deficit. So the question becomes, if those increases were justified then why are they not justified now? Because right now the message being sent is clear. Some employees are being supported and protected from inflation, while others are being asked to fall behind. And the inequality extends beyond wages into health care. Why should SEIU members pay more for the same health care coverage from the same employer than their colleagues in police and fire department? Why are SEIU's members' health care worth less? When premiums increase this January, an unknown amount, SEIU members will be paying disproportionately more than other bargaining units across this city. If the city truly believes in being an employer of choice, and if you stand behind your stated values of dignity, respect, and fairness, then those principles must apply across all workforce, not selectively. Tonight, you have the opportunity to correct course. As you provide direction to your bargaining team, we urge you to align SEIU's COLA adjustments with those provided to police and fire, in line with current inflation. Provide equitable employer health care contributions across bargaining units. Tonight, you'll hear directly from the people affected. I ask that you listen to their experiences, understand the real-world impacts, and take into account the human impact. Because fairness and equity are not just words to be thrown around. They are demonstrated through choices made and actions taken. Thank you. And Andrew is no longer here. He had to leave. So I believe Maya is next.
Thank you. Maya Hoffman. Followed by Monica Davis, followed by Christine Jacobs. Good evening, Ms. Hoffman.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Maya Hoffman, and I'm a Regulatory Compliance Supervisor. I've proudly served the city for 4.5 years. I'm here tonight because the current proposal treats my unit, your civilian workforce, like we are somehow worth less than other groups that work for the city. I want to be clear. We all serve this city. We all keep it running, and we all have families to support. At home, it's just me and my fiance. We're getting married in July. He's self-employed, which means he can't get insurance through an employer. Your decision on health care directly determines whether we can afford to start our life together without fear. So when you offer fire and PD meaningful raises, but tell us to accept zero COLA and higher health insurance costs by 2027, it feels like you're saying our work and our families matter less. That is unfair, and it is unsustainable. We've made concessions. We've shown up. We've kept the city compliant, safe, and functioning. All we're asking is to be treated with the same dignity and respect as the other units you rely on. Please do the right thing. Treat us fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Monica Davis, followed by Christine Jacobs.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Monica Davis. This is my son, Damari Davis, and I'm currently employed at the police department as a record supervisor. I have worked at the city of Santa Maria for nearly 10 years and have served in law enforcement-related positions for approximately 17 years. However, today I stand before you not only as a city employee, but also as a resident and community member who has chosen to build a life and raise a family here in Santa Maria. My family and I intentionally support our local economy by making our major purchases within the city and investing in the community we call home. As everyone knows, the cost of living in Santa Maria continues to rise, and many city employees are struggling to keep pace. And now, for the first time in my career, when prices are at an all-time high, the city is proposing to give SEIU members no cost of living adjustments and being asked to absorb healthcare costs. All while at the same time, some of my counterparts at the police department, as well as other bargaining units, are getting cost of living adjustments to begin in July, as well as receive full employer paid medical benefits and receiving additional steps added to their pay scales. All of this agreed to when everyone was fully aware of the city facing a large deficit. I know I speak for many of SEIU members when I say that our contributions to the city are no less valuable than those of other employees represented by other bargaining units. The services we provide are essential to the daily operations to the city, and we deserve the same fairness, respect, and consideration. With rising costs of living in this city, no cost of living adjustments to our pay, and paying more into our health benefits would make living and working in this city less sustainable for families. For me personally, this could affect my ability to afford childcare and schooling for my child, which would directly impact me working. All we're asking for is simple: equality across all bargaining units. It is difficult to understand why some employee groups continue to receive cost of living increases, pay adjustments, and medical benefits, yet our SEIU members are being asked to accept less. We respectfully ask that the council consider real impact to these proposals, that these proposals will have on employees who keep the city running every day, and to ensure the SEIU members are treated fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Jacobs, followed by Luis Bejarano, followed by Rosie Martinez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members, city leadership. My name is Christine Jacobs, and I have worked for the city of Santa Maria for 13 years as an outreach specialist in the utilities department. I live in Santa Maria, and I am also a proud member of SEIU Local 620, presented here today. Over the years, I have had the privilege of connecting with our community through recycling, water conservation, environmental programs, public events, and educational outreach. I truly enjoy serving the residents of Santa Maria and helping make our community a better place to live. Tonight, I am speaking not only as a city employee, but as a wife, mother, and grandmother. At home, I support a household of 5, including my husband, my 2 adult sons, and my 2-year-old grandson, Ash. As you can imagine, in a house with 4 boys, groceries disappear quickly, and gas tanks never seem to stay full for very long. This past year has reminded me how quickly life can change. Family responsibilities don't stop when prices go up, and neither do the bills. Like many city employees, I'm doing my best to support the people who depend on me while continuing to serve the community I care about. I am asking for nothing extravagant. I am simply asking for a fair contract that includes a cost of living allowance, affordable health care benefits, so that employees can keep pace with the rising costs of living. Many of us here have dedicated years, and in some cases decades, of service to the city. We show up every day because we care about the work we do and the community we serve. We are proud to be city employees, and we hope that commitment is recognized through a contract that supports the people who keep essential city services running. I have dedicated 13 years to serving the residents of Santa Maria, and my hope is that the city will continue investing in the employees who have chosen to build their careers here. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your service to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Luis Bejarano.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Luis Magallon. This is my son, Miguel Antonio, and my daughter, Maria Jose Guadalupe, sitting right there. I'm going to first read a couple of statements on behalf of other SEIU members who were not able to be in attendance today. So first, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Jolene Galaitis, and I work in Public Works. I am asking you to consider the real impacts these proposed changes would have on employees and our families. I currently take home approximately $3,400 a month to support my family of 5. Under the proposal, I would face a reduction in pay with the increased insurance costs in January. Additionally, projected double-digit % increases to medical insurance is not a small adjustment. It is the difference between making ends meet and falling behind. With housing, utilities, groceries, gas, and other basic expenses continuing to rise, I cannot absorb a reduction. I would be forced to make impossible choices between paying bills, keeping food on the table, and providing for my children. I am proud to serve this community, but I respectfully ask that you consider the financial hardship this proposal would place on employees who are already working hard to support their families. Thank you for your time and consideration. That's one. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Esmeralda de Jesus, and I am an engineering technician too for the City of Santa Maria. I appreciate the progress that has been made in negotiations, but I am disappointed that the current proposal includes a 0% cost of living adjustment. The cost of living continues to rise, and city employees are feeling that impact every day. At the same time, there is concern about future increases to employee health care costs. Part of my job is helping process permits and support projects that serve our community. Like many employees, I take pride in the work I do. That's why it's discouraging to see a proposal with no cost of living increase when the cost of housing, groceries, and everyday necessities continues to rise. The city's employees are not just line items in a budget. We are the people who serve this community every day, and we deserve a contract that reflects the value of our work and keeps pace with the rising cost of living. I respectfully ask the city to continue negotiating in good faith and invest in the employees who help keep Santa Maria running. And now, myself. My name is Luis Magallon. I've been with the city for almost 5 years, and I work in Public Works as a senior civil engineer. I'm also a husband and a proud father of 2, and like many local 620 families, I'm here because the decisions made in this room directly affect our homes and our kids. First, I want to thank you for removing the proposed pay cut and for committing to cover medical through 2026. That truly matters to families like mine. But a zero COLA contract combined with workers having to pick up the medical increases in 2027 will hit the city's lowest paid employees the hardest. All we're asking for is fairness, a contract that doesn't push working families further behind, a contract that recognizes the value of every department, not just some. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rosie Martinez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Rosie Martinez, and I work with the Property and Evidence Department at the Santa Maria Police Department. This August marks 3 years of serving the city. I'm also 6 months pregnant with my first child. Like many new parents, my husband and I are preparing for higher healthcare costs, expensive daycare, and all the new expenses that come with welcoming a baby. We both serve the Santa Maria community, and we chose to build our lives here because we believe in this city. Last September, we became first-time homeowners, a huge milestone for two people who once called themselves broke college students. We worked hard, built our careers, and planted our roots here. We are now new homeowners, soon to be new parents, and we want nothing more than to raise our family in the city we serve. But with the fast rising cost of living, and now not even a slight increase in pay to keep up with these rising costs, my husband and I will face a very real financial strain. This proposal will push families like mine, families who are doing everything right, into an impossible situation. Santa Maria's motto is a great place to live, work, and play. My family is living that motto right now, but for it to remain true, this must continue to be a great place to work, a place where employees are valued, supported, and compensated fairly and equally for the essential work that they do every day. I respectfully ask you to protect the workers who keep this city running and ensure Santa Maria remains a place where growing families like mine can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone online?
That won't start until July 1st, but I have no written comments.
Okay, thank you. So now we will move on to the consent calendar. Does anyone have items they wish to pull?
It was for 13G, sir. Madam Mayor, I need to mention a correction on the consent calendar to item 12D1. It's adoption of resolution approving an agreement with Santa Barbara Public Airport District, which that should be Santa Maria. And then also just wanted to note to the public that the council has received an updated attachment B to this item. A copy is available for the public to view in the public agenda binder in the back, and it will be uploaded to the agenda webpage tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with the consent calendar, does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion? No?
No.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So I have a motion to approve the consent calendar and a second. Having heard the motion and the second, any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Bethia?
Aye.
Councilmember Soto?
Aye.
And Mayor Patino?
Aye. We'll now move to the regular business portion of the agenda. The next item will be a resolution approving Alex Posada as eligible for naming consideration of a city park or facility. This report will be presented by Ramon Gallo, Director of Recreation and Parks.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Ramon Gallo, Director of Recreation and Parks with our city. The action before you is adopting a resolution approving Alexander Posada as eligible for naming consideration of a city park or facility. As you may be aware, the City of Santa Maria maintains an eligibility list of individuals whose contributions to our community, the Santa Maria Valley, may merit consideration for future naming of city parks, facilities, trails, or recreation assets. The placement on this list does not name a specific park at this time. It is merely to consider eligibility for Mr. Posada for naming consideration in the future. Mr. Posada has consistently displayed leadership in community affairs. His volunteerism is outstanding. He's been a role model and a mentor for others. And he has been a supporter of enrichment of this community through his career. He's also a 47-year veteran of the City of Santa Maria, which I believe is the longest tenured employee, and 33 decades of service with the Recreation Department as well. Again, approval does not designate a facility at this time. That would be a later item for consideration and action by City Council. And with that, staff recommends the adoption of the resolution approving Alexander Posada as eligible for naming consideration of a city park or facility. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions from the council? No? Are there any requests to speak or written comments?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I know that, and there's a list of things that Alex has done that are not as his role as Recreation and Parks Director. And I know he worked very diligently on Katrina with the Red Cross, so he went down there, I think maybe for a couple of weeks. So he has done a lot of outside of the city of Santa Maria, I should say outside of his job description with the city of Santa Maria. I know he's very active in the Kiwanis, and I certainly will support this. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Sure, Flores.
And,
Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Soto?
oh, aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
Aye.
Councilman Batalla?
Aye.
Mayor Patino?
The next item is the consideration of the renaming of Cesar E. Chavez Drive. Brett Fulgoni, Director of the Public Works, will present the report.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Before you tonight is a summary of a survey that was sent out to residents of Santa Maria that would be affected by the name change. The Public Works Department had a town hall meeting on the item May 13th, 2026 to hear from the public at Grogan Park. As a result of that meeting, we actually extended our deadline to provide surveys to the council up until May 28th. And as such, we've provided the input from those surveys within your council packet, and that's really all there is for this evening. So.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council? Mr. Pataya?
Yes. What were the results of that survey?
Yes, as noted in the report, that we received 71 surveys with the preference of keeping the name as Cesar E. Chavez.
Thank you.
Any other questions? None? Okay.
So with the preference of retaining the Cesar Chavez name.
Well, I didn't hear that.
I see it in the report, and I know it was asked, and I want to make sure, for the record, that our respondents indicated to retain the street name, Cesar Chavez.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I have one question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So,
Councilmember Flores?
So was that a survey with those responses online? Or was it outreach, they showed up and said they wanted it?
We sent letters to the affected households on Cesar E. Chavez Drive, and then we held a public workshop. And so we did receive some feedback at that workshop. There were some folks that said, hey, we didn't have enough time to provide our input. And so we said, okay, we'll give you another couple of weeks. We sent out another letter with the survey, and then a lady, one of the residents, delivered the Public Works Department those surveys, and there were some other ones that were emailed to engineering with those results, but they were hard copies filled out and provided to us.
So it was my understanding that the letter that went out, it had the wrong date.
The first one did. And so at that meeting, we accidentally put Tuesday. We put the right date, but we put Tuesday instead of Wednesday of that date. And so we met everybody and said, hey, we're going to give you extra time to voice your opinion. And that's where we extended it to the 28th, because we were originally wanting to have those survey results at that meeting so that we could talk about it and have a conversation. But there was a little bit of confusion there. We still had a good turnout for the event, but that's why we extended it to the 28th, because of that error.
Ms. Soto?
Were there any, can you elaborate a little bit more on the actual survey, and could there have been the possibility for people to submit more than one?
Yeah, there was a write-in option, and there was, we provided the list that is included in your attachments. There's an adopted list that the city council has
I
on
saw.
file with veterans that have been recognized by the council. And so we sent that list along with the survey to provide that as, a potential option, as well as any other option that they may see fit. And the results have been provided from that. Yeah.
So there was a chance that there could have been duplicate survey submitted
This certainly
by-
wasn't a scientific survey.
Right.
It wasn't a vote. It was kind of a polling, an informal polling that we did as a means of trying to provide outreach and collect data.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for my colleagues on the council, but I, for one, don't feel comfortable keeping the street named under Cesar Chavez in light of the accusations that were brought forward. And so I would be in favor of recommending, a name change to the street.
Okay, can we just ask any questions now? Any other questions? Okay. So I have 3 requests to speak. I have Ann McCarty, followed by Monica Lopez, followed by Stella Felix Villarreal. Thank you, Ms. McCarty.
Good evening, Mayor Patino, members of the City Council. I want to speak for a moment about Cesar E. Chavez Drive in Santa Maria and the fact that it has not yet been renamed. I ask those who oppose the name change to view this issue through my lens. The statements made by survivors who have come forward alleging sexual abuse by Cesar Chavez are devastating and demand attention. In the work that we do, survivors come first. To those survivors, I want to say, we see you, we believe you, and we honor your courage. We must also ask ourselves why survivors are so often forced to relive their trauma simply to be heard. Sexual violence is not an anomaly, it's systemic. No movement, no institution, and no leader is immune. What we have read and heard should be a moment of reckoning for all of us. Social justice movements, labor movements, farm worker movements, and violence prevention organizations must confront this truth directly. We cannot build justice while ignoring harm within our own spaces. Women and girls in farm worker communities have long faced disproportionate levels of sexual violence because of power imbalances, economic vulnerability, and systemic inequality. For too long, survivors have carried this burden in silence, fearing that speaking out would damage the very movements that they helped build. That silence must end. Accountability is not an attack on a movement. Accountability is what gives a movement integrity. We can honor the contributions of the farm worker movement while also acknowledging the harm. In fact, we must. Anything less perpetuates the very injustice these movements were created to challenge. I urge you as a council to move forward with renaming Cesar E. Chavez Drive. Let us choose to honor someone whose legacy reflects the values we aspire to uphold: integrity, respect, safety, and service to community. Our public spaces should celebrate individuals who unite us around those principles and whose lives reflect the standards we expect of our leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Monica Lopez, followed by Stella Villarreal.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Monica. I have lived on Cesar Chavez since I bought my house brand new in June of 2003, so 23 years now. I raised 2 kids there, currently in college, both with many documents under their names. I am opposed to changing the name of our street for many reasons. Financial, it is going to cost all of us money, time, days away from work, hours away from work to get all our documents changed. We have to worry about the hassle of notifying government agencies, managing utility accounts, dealing with mail delivery, possibly even slower emergency response while they figure out where the new street is. Cesar Chavez is deceased, unable to speak his piece, currently not guilty as these are only allegations. However, he is still a historic figure. Cesar Chavez was a pioneer for worker protections. He forced businesses to provide safer working conditions, amongst other things. Our neighborhood has significant traffic issues as well as code enforcement violations, as my neighbor has already mentioned tonight. Even though some of these houses have been here for 40 years, we still have huge safety issues when entering and exiting our neighborhood. We need more speed limit signs. We need signs directing semi-trucks back to Donovan. We need speed humps on Atlantic, or at the least raise crosswalks to slow the speeders down. There are so many other areas to spend the money that would be used for this change, and we need that versus changing our street name. A name change will cause all of us to have to spend our hard-earned money to deal with this. I have not heard of one resident on our street, and the next neighbor that will speak went door to door with that survey with all the names that we could pick, and not one person on Cesar Chavez wants the name changed. So please do not change our street name. Thank you.
Thank you. Stella Villarreal.
Good evening. This is my first council meeting. My name is Stella Felix Villarreal, and I live on Cesar Chavez Drive. I am here because I went door to door, spoke with all my neighbors. None of us are in agreement in changing the name. Regarding the name change, we understand it's political, not to downplay what is alleged to have happened. I, as a woman, can relate to some of these alleged accusations or stories. Whereas, from what I understand, the political wind is at right now of we are to be believed. I had an incident when I was 18. I reported it right away. I didn't wait years and years. I reported it immediately. So when this came around about the street name change and the why, to me, it's more of, you gave us a list of other veterans. I'm a veteran. And I, for one, would hate to think that the people that are on this list, we don't know them, we don't know their history. I do thank them for their service, but also, what if 10 years down the road, something comes up, just like now, supposedly, allegedly, with Cesar? Are we going to go through this again? And my understanding is that it'll cost $26,000. I could see that money better spent on other things, like my neighbor just stated. We need more either speed bumps, stop signs, something to create our streets safer. We have a lot of people that speed by. So as far as spending the $26,000 to change the name, to me that's ridiculous. I am not downplaying, like I said, I'm not being insensitive. It's just, to me, it's a waste of money. The time and the effort, and also the money that it's going to cost all of us, private citizens, to have to spend, it's too much, you know. My feeling is the street was named. Let it be. Let it be. So, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any written comments?
No, just the 3 comment cards,
Just the
no
3?
written comment.
Okay. I received an email. Yes, did you want to say something?
To mention, I have 14 more. I know we already did the survey, but yesterday my husband and I went door to door and we collected more signatures. I do have them with me. I handed the other copies to, was it Brett? Yes. So I ended up getting a total of, that would come out to a total of 80 signatures. I understand there's 60 houses, but I got 80 signatures. I also got other family members. So I don't know if you guys want the forms.
Thank you.
Yes? No?
You can give them to the clerk if you'd like. Any comments from the council?
Madam Mayor,
yes, Ms. Sir.
I appreciate the work that Public Works has put forward in getting input from residents and property owners. I appreciate those that came and gave public comment. I stand by by my comments earlier that we cannot perpetuate alive or not this type of assault on people to go without any accountability. And so, I stand by my comments. I stand with the survivors, and I am in full support of changing the name.
Thank you. Any other? Mr. Battaglia?
Yes, I've had somebody very close to me that was a victim of something like this, so it's very unfortunate, and I do also would love to change that name. But moving forward, though, I think we need to be careful when we name streets. I don't think we should be naming streets after people, because just like the resident said, like say we change it on one of the person on the list, and then later down the line it comes out that they did something. But I mean, I do stand with Gloria Soto, and I think we do need to change the name of the street.
Any comments?
Myself also, I agree that we need to change the name. There's a lot of victims that we have heard from that maybe they're not here tonight, but we need to change the name. And for her to come forward and say after all these years, maybe some of you don't agree, maybe some of you said, I reported it right away. Well, for her, it was different. It was a different time. It was a different era for her. So I truly believe that we need to change that name and stand for what is right in the city of Santa Maria. We're not going to stand with men or women that sexually violate other people.
And, I agree. I'm completely in agree. We have to, accountability is part of justice as far as I'm concerned. And we have to be part of change a culture that it's just okay and it's over with and it's no big deal. Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it's going to cost people some money. I had 3 people contact me. Two were women, and one had commented that she didn't want her daughter seeing that name on the street anymore because of a situation with her daughter. And so I am totally supportive of this. And I said, and I think we need to stand here in the city of Santa Maria and say we want that culture changed. We want the culture of the way women are treated and denigrated. And we just saw 5 kids die with alcohol. We need to change the culture on alcohol in our community. And anyway, do I have a motion and second?
So moved. There we go.
I have a motion and a second.
Can we repeat the direction?
My understanding is that you will refer this back to the traffic committee for an appropriate name, but that you direct that the name Cesar Ace Chavez be removed and replaced.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Soto and then Flores?
Aye.
Sure.
For a first, Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
Yes.
Councilman Batalla?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes. Thank you. And thank you, Ann McCarty, for being here. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you. And thank you all your
Happy
family.
birthday!
Oh.
Thank you for spending it with us.
Thank you, Ms. Howerton. Thank you, Ms. Zuniga, for being here and supporting. We appreciate that. Next, we will receive a presentation regarding the Santa Maria Downtown Multimodal Assessment to be presented by Brett Fulgoni, Director of the Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I have here our partners from Caltrans. Finn James is the planner on the project that he's been working so hard on, and I'll turn it over to Finn for his presentation.
Thank you, Brett. Good evening, Mayor Patino, members of the council. My name is Finn James. I'm a planner with Caltrans District 5. If you recall, back in April, I gave a presentation on this study that Caltrans is conducting in partnership with the City of Santa Maria. At that presentation, I shared that we would be doing public engagement in April, and I'm here to give a recap on that as well as share some of the next steps. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, so tonight I'm gonna give a brief recap of what the purpose of this study that we're doing is, what the community engagement we did was, what the proposed enhancements are and how the community received that, as well as the next steps for starting a project in downtown Santa Maria. So our problem statement is that Broadway, which is Caltrans State Route 135, and Main Street, Caltrans State Route 166, in downtown Santa Maria do not meet the public space needs of the community, achieve the multimodal goals of the city, or align with the guiding principles for Caltrans Main Streets. We're doing a feasibility study because previous planning efforts conducted by the city identified vision for the downtown area, but we're not able to determine specific feasible scope elements for these highways, which are needed to begin a project. So our study goals were to guide the development of the project and identify those feasible scope elements. So the study area we're looking at is Broadway from Mill Street to Cook Street and Main Street from Pine Street to Miller Street. We did 3 in-person engagement events. The first one was April 10th at Downtown Fridays. The second was April 15th at the Mercado Plaza Food Truck Night. And the third was April 22nd at the Mercado Plaza Earth Day Festival. At these events, we had poster boards, as you can see in the image on the left, that depicted what downtown Santa Maria could look like with a project. We asked members of the public to place a green sticker on the poster board if they liked the vision and a red sticker if they did not. Across these 3 events, we gathered a total of 200 responses. We also conducted online engagement that had the same sort of method of having poster boards and asking if people wanted to see the vision implemented or not. This was posted on social media and shared by the news, and we collected a total of 180 online responses for a total of 380 responses. So I just want to talk about some of the proposed features that we would be universally including. The first one on the left is bulb outs. This is where the sidewalk is a little bit wider at the corner of an intersection. This allows for a shorter crossing distance for pedestrians, as well as better visibility for them. It's an important safety measure. We're also proposing high visibility crosswalks to make the crossing area more visible to drivers, and median enhancements to shorten crossing distance for pedestrians and make it so they don't have to cross the entire street at once. There are also a few key areas where we're recommending removing some lanes and improving or adding signal technology. And these lane removals have been studied from an operational standpoint and will not have a negative impact on traffic operations. So jumping into what we heard from the public, the first alternative that we looked at was Class 1 multi-use paths. This is where the sidewalk is widened to allow a multi-use path that bicyclists and pedestrians could use. This could be hypothetically built throughout the whole downtown area, so it would provide a complete network of enhanced safety for bicyclists and pedestrians. This was 67% supported by members of the public. The next alternative, it would be implementing Class 4 protected bike lanes. This would exist within the road bed as it is, and is specifically for bicyclists to use. This was 71% supported, but due to space, we would not be able to provide a complete network of these Class 4 bike lanes. The last option we showed was Class 2 striped bike lanes, which is simply striping a bike lane in the road. And this was the least popular option with 39% supporting it. So where we're at today is we're just about completed with this study. The main purpose of this study is to kick off a project, which I'm pleased to announce that we recently received funding to begin. We will be doing what's called a project initiation document, which will fully scope out all of these details and put us in a really good position for funding environmental and design phases so that this can be constructed. A really important item I want to mention is that Caltrans and the City of Santa Maria Public Works are working together on a shared maintenance agreement. This is a really important element to be able to implement those preferred types of enhancements that we saw. Those are elements that Caltrans is not capable of maintaining because we simply don't have the equipment to be able to maintain it. So for something like that, we look for a shared maintenance agreement. Whoops, that's the wrong way. So lastly, I want to thank Public Works staff, thank the council for partnering on this study. This has been a really successful model. Caltrans hasn't done a study like this in a while, and we've really shown statewide what partnership between Caltrans and a city should look like. So the recommendation in front of you is to accept these concepts that I shared and support city staff's continued coordination with Caltrans for a future project and work towards a maintenance agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? No. Mr. Bataille? None? Any requests to speak or written comments?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Any more comments?
Before you conclude, I just wanted to thank Caltrans, Veronica and Finn for spearheading this project. Mayor, as you know, we've, at some points in time, Caltrans has not always been at the table. And here they are. And they put a lot of work into this, and we really appreciate that. And I know you had an opportunity recently to discuss this at headquarters, and could potentially become a model for engagement between Caltrans and cities. So I want to just point out the proactive nature of their work. So.
I know Caltrans has not always been user-friendly, and you guys have just really evolved over the years that I've been mayor, and so appreciate that. Can you go back to the 3 different?
Yeah.
That one?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Do you know what that would look like after 1 week in our city? With our drivers?
We did hear a couple public comments about worry that it would be struck.
I love it. I love it. You know, I guess we could paint it every week since I went out to paint it. But anyway, I just love it to keep the bicyclists safe. Anyway, but thank you very much.
And I would just add, during design and development of this project, those are the details that we would look at to make sure that we have something that's going to work for the city. By no means is anything set in stone here.
Right.
It's just kind of recommendations that we could use as a guide.
Well, I, for one, look forward to seeing the progress, especially with the project initiation kickoff funding that you all received. I think that that's a step in the right direction, and I'm really eager to see how this project progresses.
I think this is exciting because even before I was on the council, we were talking about this. And we would meet and have scoping meetings and have people meet in the library and talk about how they wanted the downtown to look. And a lot of it was just like this. They wanted more trees, they wanted flowers, and a safe place for a bicyclist. So thank you very much. Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second? Don't everyone step up at once.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Soto.
Aye.
Councilmember Bethia.
Aye.
Mayor Patino.
Aye. The next item is the Small Business Report initiated to be presented by Shannon Dow, Director of Community Development. Good evening, Ms. Dow.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. We are pleased to present tonight the Small Business Support Initiative. Let's see. Currently, approximately 82% of Santa Maria's businesses are classified as small businesses having fewer than 10 employees. These are a key component of the backbone of our local economy. They create local jobs, they create the unique character that makes Santa Maria the community that it is, and they invest in our community as well. However, as small businesses look to start up and grow, they can often face regulatory hurdles. While developers who dedicate their lives to developing real estate may be very experienced in the process of development review, often small business owners are not. They may do this once, twice in their career, and each time they have to understand our process, understand all of the different regulatory things that they have to comply with, and it can be very confusing for them. In addition, it can also be expensive and time-consuming. And when they're trying to move quickly, that's something that they at times cannot afford. Additionally, we have looked at the downtown specific plan and found that there are barriers to investment there as well. The very area that we are working to revitalize and seeking to attract businesses to, the way we've set up the downtown specific plan to date actually creates additional hurdles beyond, beyond what you may see in other areas of the city. Enter the Small Business Support Initiative. This aims to eliminate key barriers to small businesses. We would look at a comprehensive review of our zoning code to identify opportunities for us to decrease time, decrease costs, and partner with businesses so that they can succeed with positive growth in our community. So potential barriers for this include looking at youth sports facilities and fitness centers as a by right use in specific zones, which currently require a CUP. Conditional use permits can often present a significant challenge to small businesses looking to grow. They often take anywhere from 4 to 6 months, and the fee is approximately $14,000. So that can certainly be a challenge to small businesses that operate on narrow profit margins. Additionally, we would look at modifying the downtown permit review matrix. One example is that an adaptive reuse within the downtown, depending on size, may deal with as many as 4 public meetings, including 3 public hearings, in order to move forward. And that's for an existing building. We're not talking about new development, new elevations, or any of that. That's just a reuse, where in other parts of the city, they can actually go in on a by right basis, meaning they don't need any of those public hearings. Additionally, another example could be eliminating requirements for those multiple public hearings, including Downtown Revitalization Committee, study sessions, things of that nature, for those small-scale projects that don't need that degree of review. Additionally, we would evaluate new opportunities for streamlining and ministerial reviews. There are a number of opportunities such as directors' reviews that we could have staff apply their knowledge and expertise to make sure that people are meeting the ramifications of what we want to see in the municipal code, that they meet the zoning, that they are not creating any issues for neighboring businesses, and we would get them through the process much more quickly and also would be able to reduce the cost of development for these small businesses. And finally, we could also explore fee reductions for qualifying small businesses. So as we look at that, we would look to identify those very small scale businesses that would really benefit from that and would need that help. So next steps, we are seeking input tonight from the City Council. This does represent a paradigm shift for us. Typically, most governments seek to regulate more, not less. We spend a lot of time looking at new regulations rather than looking at past ones and identifying opportunities to cut red tape and make things easier for small businesses. This is an opportunity to revisit that and take a look at a chance to increase local revenues by enhancing sales taxes and increase local jobs and opportunities for our local businesses. So with that, I await your direction and would look to see how you feel about some of these proposals.
Any questions from the council?
Yes.
Ms. Soto?
I am very happy to see that we are reviewing this and we're looking to make the process much smoother for our small business owners. And this falls right in line with the discussion that we had at the goal setting workshop or City Council goal setting workshop session. And so, like I said, I'm really pleased to see this. A question that I have is, you know, I appreciated the examples and I see that it's not limited to those, but I'm curious how you foresee perhaps even child daycare centers also benefiting from this. As you know, there is a significant shortage in accessible childcare, particularly here in North County, and so I'm really eager to hear how this could support expanding or increasing the number of or support childcare providers.
Thank you for that question, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Soto. I'm delighted to share that we actually took some technical amendments to our code that would include eliminating the CUP requirement for daycares to study session at the most recent Planning Commission study session meeting, and it will go on the July 1st meeting to Planning Commission to hear, and it will be before you for a decision on August 4th.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments? You know, I think prior city councils decided they wanted to keep downtown sort of the mom and pop, the entrepreneur, and so it had a personality and not have any of the big boxes, a Costco or Home Depot or anything downtown. And so they wanted to preserve that. I think this is I think this is great. I think it's wonderful. The only thing I hesitate on is if something comes up that we don't like down there, that we don't want, that we don't think is going to fit maybe down there. And that was my feeling on a business one time, which I will not even mention here. and that's the only hesitancy I have, because you work really good with the chamber of putting all this together. And I think it's really important because these small businesses do not have the time or the energy nor the resources. You know, we had an incubator business at one time downtown, which was really great. And I just thought, I don't understand why that didn't go here in Santa Maria. And I just wondered if maybe something like that would go really, really well. Because these small businesses may not need a whole storefront. They just need a desk and a phone. Or not even a phone anymore, just the computer. Yeah. Any other comments?
No, thank you.
The Planning Commission may not like it because it eliminates them on some of the things that they're going to be doing. But
We will look to identify code changes that will incorporate their input so that staff can then refer to those. We have had some situations where it is, honestly, it's pretty much a rubber stamp situation. And we know that. We know the direction of council, we know the direction of Planning Commission, but we still have to go through that process, and it can be painful for the businesses. So we're looking to avoid that.
you pretty much know how we feel, so you're not going to want to stick a business down there that we are going to have the whole chambers crowded
Right.
so that they don't like it either. So thank you. Yes, Ms. Soto?
I apologize for the last minute question, but I'm curious, with all of the redevelopment that's going to be that's planned for the downtown, which is tied to what's in front of us now, I'm curious if there could also, and I don't know if this is where this conversation would fit, but I know that there have been other cities who have in place protections to ensure that the downtown corridors remain, to small local business owners. My fear is that with all of the redevelopment that is planned, there may be an influx of, more corporate franchise type of businesses going in downtown, and I think that would kind of would not. That's not the intent of the vision, or that's not the vision for the downtown, from my understanding. And so I don't know if there could be, as we're also working through this, also include in the municipal code, language around a certain percentage amount of vacancies or I'm sorry, it's been a really long day, and so my brain is not working as fast today. But if there could be like a percentage of businesses that we can say, storefronts that will be small mom and pop or small business owners, locally owned businesses.
Yes. Madam Mayor, Councilmember Soto, if it pleases the council, one thing that we could incorporate to the code changes is a focus on mom and pop restaurants or general businesses. And if there is a desire for a larger or a franchise type of company to locate there, we can elevate that to the decision-making bodies. So we could make those small mom and pops that we're trying to help by right, and then those others would need to go through a process. That could be an avenue. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I think that was the intent of the council, our prior council, is that they wanted to keep it homegrown. They wanted to keep it Santa Maria and do the mom and pop downtown.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'd like to chime in on this topic. If you take a look at our downtown, there we have a town center mall, but we also still have Main Street components. If you look at West Main, that lends itself to a lot of mom and pop businesses still. So because a lot of corporate type of businesses, they have very specific footprints, and so many times they want to go in the mall or they want to go by the freeway, but we already have a fabric that lends itself to Main Street type businesses. So as the downtown continues to redevelop, we hope to have a good turnover of mom and pop businesses that will want to go into that Main Street fabric that's already there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate hearing that we could incorporate that in the municipal court as well. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak or written comments?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I think the direction
The direction is
is
fine.
sufficient because, again, we'll be bringing back a framework
Okay.
that will outline some of these details.
Okay.
There's hearing no strenuous objection, shall we say.
Sounds very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dow.
Thank you.
We'll now consider introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 7-5.04 of the Santa Maria Municipal Code to be presented by Shannon Dow, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are tonight proposing an ordinance update to the catering vehicle ordinance. This is a complete replacement of the existing ordinance that's now on the books. The challenge we noticed was that the rules written are actually from 2008. It's no secret that the food industry has changed drastically since that period. And of course, food trucks have become really an essential component of Santa Maria's food scene and local economy. Additionally, the existing rules are very difficult to enforce. If you truly wanted to enforce them, we have on public streets, you can only be parked for 30 minutes at a time. On private property, only 70 minutes at a time. With that, we would essentially need a code enforcement officer or a police officer to follow a food truck around all day with a stopwatch. So obviously, that's not a tenable solution. And additionally, these existing regulations do present obstacles for both brick and mortar restaurants in terms of fairness and a level playing field, as well as the existing catering vehicle operators with those hours of operation. So we conducted a number of outreach meetings to gather input through this under Mayor Patino's leadership and the leadership of our code enforcement manager, Don Palacios, to gather input for how to shape this vehicle ordinance so it would be more palatable for both the catering vehicle industry as well as the brick and mortar food industry. So those needs that we looked at were the general public, those of the community, both the operators of both sides, brick and mortar and catering, and of course our need for enforcement. The key features of the new regulations ensure that vehicle locations do not impede traffic safety. Safety is, of course, at the forefront of this. They may not park within 300 feet of another catering vehicle or brick and mortar restaurant. One thing we frequently heard from brick and mortar restaurants is, hey, we have very similar food and someone will park in front of my door. This is really hurting us. Additionally, loudspeakers and amplifiers will not be permitted. Operators must provide trash receptacles and collect trash generated by their customers. So this is clearly a health and safety issue. We want to ensure that all our centers and public areas stay clean and sanitary. No furniture, shade structures, or freestanding signs will be permitted. And we will also provide lengthened operating hours. So they will not be trying to fit everything in that 30-minute window. So the key components of this, on public property, people may not park within 500 feet of a school or daycare. They may operate between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. And anything within 200 feet of a park will require them to go through the Recreation and Parks Department permitting process. And part of this is we want to ensure that if there is an event that Parks is putting on, that there isn't an opportunity to just kind of go along with things when you haven't gotten a permit and aren't technically participating in it. We haven't checked your health permit and all of those things. On private property, written consent will be required from the property owner as well as the tenants. So we'll make sure there's a little more fair competition there. And additionally, they will be able to operate between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., which more accurately reflects today's reality. With that, I open for any questions.
Any questions from council?
Yeah.
Ms. Soto?
Are you sure? Thank you. My first question is, one, thank you for bringing this forward. I'm always a proponent of looking over perhaps outdated ordinances that need attention. I'm curious how the 300 feet separation requirement or proposed requirement was determined. Like, what's how was that determined?
I can answer that. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. We did a lot of research, so we reached out to other cities, spoke with other code enforcement officers, researched their Muni code, And that's what we found similar with other cities was the 300 feet, and thought that that would be great for our city too.
Yeah, typically, I think what I've seen in other cities is that the whatever the distance requirement is, it's typically from other food vendors or like restaurant times, not all like brick and mortar. And so I think about the corridors that we were just earlier talking about, Main, West Main Street, like what's gonna happen to food truck vendors who, you know, will that cause for food truck vendors to have to be pushed to other parts of town? Has there been an analysis of the impacts on their businesses?
Thank you, Councilmember Soto. Our intent with this is the 300-foot separation from other food, whether it be catering vehicles or restaurants.
Yeah, but has there been an analysis? I appreciate that clarification. Has there also been any analysis with what would happen to perhaps these vehicle catering businesses, you know, that are in these more condensed parts of town, like West Main Street, for instance?
Are you looking at on private property or public property, or both?
Both.
Okay. I can't say that we've done an extensive analysis of where they typically park. We're just looking to create kind of a buffer, and one of the most frequent concerns that we heard was an even playing field for the catering vehicles versus brick and mortar. So again, looking at where there wouldn't be unfair competition created. So that's something that we can modify if you'd like to see closer distances. And we also will be, you know, very collaborative with private property owners where they do have that permission from the property owner themselves and the other tenants. We can be very flexible with that number.
Yeah, I hear and sympathize the concern from the brick and mortar businesses. Absolutely. I'm also curious to know, like, how many, like, just more information on the number of vehicle catering businesses that we have in the city. You know, more of analysis of, you know, aside from what I see when I'm driving around town, or the ones that I hit up, where like an analysis of where they're currently at, how they're operating, how many of them would be impacted by this. We've definitely heard from the brick and mortar businesses, but I'm also curious to know if there's been any conversations with the vehicle catering businesses.
Yes, thank you. We did pull that data from finance as far as those licensed catering vehicles. There are approximately 400 licensed as of the time we were doing the research. And we estimate approximately 100 of those are active, meaning they're regularly on the streets. We have heard also from that industry that several of those represent people who have brick and mortar restaurants and use their catering vehicle to attend events. So they're kind of both. And I'll defer to Dawn because I know she has had extensive conversations with a number of our catering vehicle operators.
Yes, so we also reached out to the catering vehicle owners, went out to their catering vehicles, discussed what their concerns are, also the challenges that they are facing. So we looked into that also, and so their extended time on the street also. A lot of the problems that they're facing are the private property.
Yeah.
They're having to pay rent. And so they're actually really excited for this new ordinance. And so, but we can do the analysis on the 300 feet if you'd like.
Oh, they're excited because of
the changes that we're making. So they're not having to move every 30 minutes if they're on
I see.
Public property. They're not having to move every 70 minutes. So still, if they're paying someone rent, they're still having to move. And by the time they're getting their fryers warmed up, it's not the same as it used to be. Perhaps having the prepared food and they're just delivering it, the sandwiches, the burritos, what they used to have. Now they're preparing the meals when they get the order, so it takes time. So the input we've received from them has been very positive.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Ms.
No,
Flores?
that's the same question I was going to
Okay.
ask.
Any other questions? Okay. And I know we've had some of these catering trucks that are from out of the area, and this has been a problem also for us. And so is Santa Barbara County. They've had the problem. And they're coming from, I guess, from the LA area coming. That's the only thing that bothers me. It doesn't, if they're a catering truck and they're Santa Maria residents, that's fine. And this would be fine. It just bothers me when they come out of the area. That particular company, do they get a business license from the city of Santa Maria?
One did, and it was revoked.
Oh, okay. Do they still come in, though?
No.
Oh, you caught them and shut them? Okay, and so did Santa Barbara County, I guess. Okay.
And we've been working closely with the health department as well.
Good.
So they have to get the permit from the health department, and they get a business license from us.
Correct.
And what else are their expenses?
That's it. That's what
it.
they get their permits.
So it's not like the brick and mortar that's set up and they have to pay the insurance, workers' comp and everything.
I'm sure that they still have insurance that they have to pay,
Yeah.
some level of insurance.
Well, they pay
and-
some insurance, but not like the brick and mortar has to pay, not by a long shot, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak or written comments?
We do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Come
So
on,
moved.
Councilmember Batalla.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second it.
There you go.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Flores. Councilmember Batalla.
Aye.
Councilmember Soto.
Aye.
Mayor Patino.
Aye. The next item is continue from May 5th City Council meeting, the introduction of an ordinance amending chapters on cross-connection and appeals provisions of the Santa Maria Municipal Code, to be presented by Joshua Reynolds, Deputy Director of Water Resources. Good evening, Mr. Reynolds.
Oh. Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for having me back to talk about this. All right, tonight I want to really dig into some of the issues that came up last time, provide a little more information on what we currently do for our cross-connection control program. Really talk in a little more detail about what those state changes are and how they impact our current program, and how they also impact our ordinance. And then we'll wrap back, because we had a big bit of discussion last time about the impacts of this ordinance change to some of our, to the community. So our current cross-connection control program. So what are we currently doing? And I don't want to belabor it. We talked about this last time. Cross-connection, just as a reminder, is any potential connection between a non-potable or a private water system and the public drinking water system. And a backflow event would be when water from that private system flows back into the public drinking water system, and that creates the potential for contamination or health problems. So our current program was established, well, at least the municipal code was adopted in 2003, and so that program has been active since 2003. It currently has 3,630 backflow prevention assemblies in the program. That means those assemblies get tested annually and get notices that tests are required. As part of that program, we have a dedicated cross-connection control specialist on staff whose job is to enforce and monitor our cross-connection control program. We also do hazard assessments now, typically or very consistently on new construction and building permits, and we try and monitor change of ownership, or at least change of uses of a site. If those changes, we're doing hazard assessments at that time as well. So So these are all elements that we currently have in our cross-connection control program. So to split sort of what our responsibility is, what the utilities department or the city's responsibility is versus what we're calling the responsible party, that's the term used in the code, or the private party, what their responsibilities are. So our responsibility is to trigger and review the hazard assessments, to inspect new and repaired devices, to make sure we're sending annual notices to people with backflow prevention assemblies in the program, and to track the status of both those notices and their hazard assessments. The responsible party's responsibility is to respond to our hazard assessment questionnaires, to work with a certified tester to test their devices and repair their devices if needed, to submit those test results and completed questionnaires to the Utilities Department for review. So what is the Cross-Connection Control Policy Handbook, which is the state changes, this new state rules? What does that do differently compared to what we currently do in our cross-connection control program? And so a little reminder here, the state of California adopted this cross-connection control policy handbook, and that established requirements for local cross-connection control programs. What's important to note is we already have a cross-connection control program in place. I'll talk a little bit about what's changed on that. What it also did is it repealed sections of the state code regarding cross-connections, so Title 17 was repealed as part of this. And as I'll discuss, our ordinance references Title 17. It also required revisions to our municipal code. So that's a stated requirement in the Cross-Connection Control Policy Handbook. There are certain things that your municipal code must have in place, and required a written preparation of a written cross-connection control plan. So we talked a little bit about time here. You may have seen on that little image. The state framework of the Cross-Connection Control Policy Handbook was adopted in 2023. It became effective in 2024, so they gave a year there, with cross-connection control plans due in July of 2025. But as we've been working through preparing, and not just the city of Santa Maria, but the industry at large throughout California, has been working to prepare these cross-connection control plans, we've been working closely with the state and the Division of Drinking Water, providing feedback and input to them, and they have been modifying their guidance and clarifying their requirements as we've gone through this process. So throughout 2025 and into January and February of 2026, the state has been updating and clarifying their requirements. We prepared and submitted a draft cross-connection control plan in July of 2025 to meet that deadline. We got comments back in that fall, coordinated with DDW on those comments, and then resubmitted a plan in January of 2026. That plan was approved by the state of California. Once we got through that process and the state was able to settle down on their changes to the policy handbook, we brought this forward for council consideration. So some important things to talk about with regards to Title 17. Remember, Title 17 was the old standards, the old state rules. And what it sums down to is Title 17 said, hey, here's what you must do. You must control cross-connection. Very relatively simple set of guidance. But the new policy handbook doesn't just stop at here's what you must do. It says here's how you must do it. You have to have things like formalized hazard assessment requirements. You have to, have a written plan. It also did things like expanded the definition of hazards, and we'll talk about this in a little more detail because it's really, I think, the most important change to our program is it includes single-family residential fire sprinkler systems. The other things that it did is it really strove to align the state standards to modern industry standards. Think American Water Works standards or USC cross-connection control standards. It also does things requiring outreach, better record keeping, and tester certification. So within that policy handbook, it sets some compliance timelines. All non-residential assessments must be done by 2031. And that's approximately that 3,600 backflow protection devices we already have in our system. Higher risk residential, so that would be with the understanding that they have either a swimming pool or that they have a fire sprinkler system, generally a fire sprinkler system, has to be assessed by and protected by July 1, 2034. What we did then is we worked with DDW to get a long phased approach here to get the rest of the residential systems. Because keep in mind, we have 23,000 approximately residential connections in the city. So we gave ourselves a pretty significant amount of time to get those hazard assessments completed. So what changes are we looking for to support compliance? What changes to our ordinance are we looking for to support compliance? So if we look at our current ordinance and do a bit of a gap analysis compared to the Cross-Connection Control Policy Handbook requirements, we identify some major gaps. Our definitions are older. They're not aligned with the current Cross-Connection Policy Handbook. We don't have the strict written guidance on when hazard assessments are going to be done or redone or repeated over time. We do keep installation standards. They're not codified, but they are in our engineering standards. It's not clear what our record-keeping, outreach, or our written program looks like within our current ordinance. However, we do have decent protection requirements in our ordinance, which is a testament to our ongoing implementation of this program. We also require testing annually. We monitor and notify responsible parties of their testing requirements, and we enforce if the tests are not completed. We do monitor and enforce that. And so the plan here is with our cross-connection control plan and the revised ordinance, we want to close these gaps. So what does the new code do? It amends Chapter 8 to authorize the Director of Utilities to develop and update the control plan, also to implement and enforce the plan, and to manage appeals consistent with other code provisions. So what are the potential impacts and how will the community feel this? I think what's important is that this ordinance does not immediately require device installation for any homes or residents. It does, however, trigger hazard assessments for, as we've discussed in the past, approximately 1,500 homes with single-family homes with fire sprinkler systems. The responsibilities for existing devices, that's nearly 3,630 devices, remain in place and they remain unchanged for those property owners. We will be engaging in outreach and education to the public at broad, but also to potentially impacted properties and homeowners. So what have we done to kind of mitigate this impact? We worked closely with the state to really right-size those requirements. We spread the hazard assessments over multiple years in order to not have a really dense impact on the community. We worked with the building and fire department and engineering department to update our standards to reduce future costs on homeowners. And we'll start initiating public outreach to support customer awareness so that the customers in the community know why we're doing this program and what the benefits are. So there's no new rates, fees, or staffing associated with this ordinance. It is funded through the Water Enterprise Fund. We meet that through the standard budgets rate process for our future needs should they change. We are exploring grant opportunities for impacted homeowners, so that's a positive that there is some potential opportunity for lower income homeowners to get some funding to support the installation of backflow protection assemblies. And we've updated the standards and working to roll out those updated standards to minimize future impacts to the community. So our requested action is to update the municipal code to provide local authority required by the state and close the gaps in the existing ordinance. So we recommend waiving the first reading, introducing the amendments for chapters 810A and 8107, and set adoption at the next city council meeting. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those as best I can.
Any questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So I have not had the opportunity to meet with staff. I've done my own research on contacting different cities, mayors, their utilities departments, and they've all shared with me it's been a disaster. And one of the main issues is that, and I'm not going by a threat or fear that we need to have this done right now, because I just don't think we should put our community in fear that we don't get this done right now. It's just going to be a disaster. But I don't feel comfortable moving forward without meeting with your staff or me doing some more research, because I just the stories that I hear that if it doesn't, if they do a backflow test and something comes up, they'll shut your water off. people have been without water, San Diego, Chula Vista, National City, just to name a few that I contacted, and just because I wanted to do my own research and find out, because I think that we need to be careful what we're doing and what we're implementing here in the city of Santa Maria, and telling our residents. Also, I'm glad to know that, you know, hopefully there's grants to help them to get this done, because it is expensive. It's not cheap. So I don't feel comfortable moving with it forward today. If we have to, do we have to approve it today? No, I could just, okay. Well, for me, I just don't feel comfortable. I did my own research, and not anything against staff. We haven't had a chance to meet, because I had some questions for them, but I'm still doing my own research on this before I'll agree.
Thank you. Ms. Soto?
I'd like to hear from staff what, I guess, your response is to the feedback that Councilmember Flores has heard or received from other cities.
I think for us, the important part is that we have a very well-developed backflow prevention program. It's been in place for decades. It has a dedicated staff member. We have software and electronic outreach. We have 45 testers, I think, on our list of approved testers. We monitor and check almost 4,000 backflow devices every year right now, today, right? So that part of it doesn't change with what we're doing here. Does it get clarification as to when we have to reassess? Yes, right? We're going to do hazard assessments more frequently. Over time, as device changes wear and wear out, they go to a more robust device. But that's sort of the long-term change. The big change here is sort of really understanding the messaging and the potential solutions for the homeowners that are impacted by this. That's the new group of people that are getting pulled into this cross-connection control program. We've been working with building and fire department to keep that pool of homes from growing through adoption of new standards to implement cross-connection control in the building as it's being built. So looping the fire sprinkler system, draining them to a toilet, or feeding a toilet off it so that the water flows through there. It's just that group of homes that are already built. And I think that's one that I pushed for as much time as I could with the state to enforce that. So that's that 20, no, I'm blanking because I'm standing up here, 2034 date, right? So yeah, so that date, we've got some time to sit down, really do some research. We're doing some research now. We've talked to some fire sprinkler contractors. We're trying to figure out what opportunities there are to do this with as reliably and as inexpensively as possible.
Of the number of backflow, what is it, nearly 4,000 backflow monitoring systems that we currently monitor, has there been a time where we've had to shut off water to the residents or the businesses who have those in place?
We had a notable incident a few months ago where we did have to do a shutdown for about a day because they had a failure on their system, the way it was set up. I had water operators out there, and we worked to get them back in operation within a day and a half so that they were back and going. I can't think offhand of any other sort of shutdowns that we've had. We tend to really try and work with the community, give them a little leeway to get their things repaired. The group of testers and certified testers in this community do a really good job of informing their customers and making those repairs happen. I would say the biggest sort of challenge has been theft or vandalism of backflow prevention assemblies. That has settled down, thankfully, over the last year or so. But we have not, that I'm aware of, gone out and had to shut anybody off because they haven't been in compliance with their backflow protection assembly.
What's the risk like for that example that you gave, what's the risk of not shutting the water system down?
I mean, we haven't been in a situation where someone's put us in an imminent danger of a backflow event into the system. So we just haven't been faced with that problem. We have generally seen responsive testers and responsive property owners to keep their backflow device operational.
That's good. Are there any risks to delaying this further?
I mean, there is risk because there are gaps here. If we had to take enforcement action on somebody, I think there is a potential risk of a pushback there. Without that, you know, I'd like to be able to move forward with the new plan. So if we're continuing to enforce the old ordinance, when really we need to be doing the new ordinance or the new cross-connection control plan, similar but different, right? So it covers a lot of the same topics, but it does have some risk if we start rolling that out without the ordinance to support it.
Are there any legal, I know there, you're probably talking about the legal risks, but are there any legal risks to us not moving forward or delaying delaying this process?
As with all state mandates, there's always a potential of regulatory risk that would come down or some sort of notification we would receive from the state. A minor delay to satisfy council, I don't believe would be a problem. And I was just conferring with Chun. We're not approving new projects that have this problem. This really is a retrofit problem. So ultimately, the challenge will be between now and 2034 to have these. So whether or not it's an immediacy, I think is probably, it's more a state-generated crisis than a current one.
Can you elaborate on that? Give me more, say more to what you just, to the point.
I can always say more, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
No, I think that, again, this was created, as we know, as a regulatory determination from the state to correct what they saw as flaws in engineering. In reliance on the prior code, certain properties were designed and constructed without cross-connection protections. What they're trying to do now is rectify that through local regulatory agencies.
I see.
That really is the issue we have. New construction isn't getting built that way. Older construction was either retrofitted or no longer has this challenge. It's that missing middle problem that really we're trying to regulate and to assist by getting them in compliance before there are other issues. And for us to be in compliance. I mean, ultimately, the state regulatory scheme is to put the screws to local agencies to put the screws to our citizens. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
You have another question?
No further questions.
Are all these 4,000 backflow devices, are these just businesses, not residential, or any of them residential?
There are some residential.
Okay.
Some ADUs trigger the need for them. Some residents have multiple meters, which can trigger the need for them. Multifamily residential typically has them in place. So if you have multiple connections on property to our water system, you're going to have some kind of a backflow prevention device on site. So they're not all businesses, but they are mostly businesses.
Okay. Well, I have no problem with this minor delay if you want to look, meet with the staff, Ms. Flores. Okay. Do you have any problem with that? We can
No,
continue.
I mean, I think that, not that I want to, like, rush it, but I would like for the city to be compliant.
Perhaps just move to continue it to the next meeting would be an appropriate motion at this point.
Okay. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to continue it to the next meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
Aye.
Mayor Pataya?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataya?
It's been a long day.
I got promoted.
Councilmember Soto?
Aye.
And Mayor Patino?
Aye. Thank you.
It's late.
Okay. Next is an update on the fiscal year 2026 through 2028 budget to be presented by Rebecca Campbell, Director of Finance. Good evening,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Campbell.
Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Rebecca Campbell, Director of Finance. So we're finally here presenting the biennial budget
And
for
you're
adoption.
smiling.
I know, I'm trying to stay awake, so, but it's all good. Okay, so fiscal years 2026 through 2028 biennial budget adoption. Looking at the recommendation, we were here at your last meeting on June 2nd, and we introduced the budget in a hearing. Tonight, we're going to give a shorter presentation on the biennial budget, and we're going to ask you to adopt a resolution that adopts the biennial budget. By law, we have to have a budget adopted by June 30th in order to keep spending and keep the city operating. We're going to go ahead and review the financials at a higher level. And tonight, the charts are showing up, so thank you, clerks. Thank you. Okay, so looking at all funds, these represent the operating budgets for all of the funds at the city. They do exclude capital, internal services, and so just a review of the numbers. We have 6 revenue categories. Operating revenues and transfers in are anticipated to be $284.4 million for 26-27 and $279.1 million for fiscal year 27-28. Looking at the pie chart up to the left, enterprise funds make up 48% of the budget in revenue. Taxes are the second funding source at 34.5%. And then other revenue is made up of credit card processing fees, transfers in, cost allocation charges, which is 7.6% of the budget. Looking at expenses, our expenses represent $303.6 million for fiscal year 26-27, $340.5 million for all funds operating in 27-28. Looking at the graph, enterprise and utilities, actually utilities specifically makes up 43.2% of the expenses. Public safety is the next highest category at 28.3%. Looking at all funds, that includes capital projects and includes internal service funds, the number goes up higher. And so for the total budget for fiscal year 26-27, $368 million and $425.3 million for fiscal year 27-28. Reviewing some of the items, services and supplies have topped personnel costs for this year. Which last year they were 5% under service salaries and benefits. So you can see some of the mid-year changes we made by reducing positions, and some of the reductions in this budget were reducing personnel costs to bring those costs in line. Also, Measure U represents $24.6 million of these all funds, and $10.7 million of police department personnel costs are represented here, and 10.3 in the fire department. Transfers out include funding for the library of $3.6 million, transfer out from general fund, and cost allocation charges and capital expenses. Our debt service category, that includes the last payment for the computer aided dispatch records management system, and also the $3.6 million payment for the water bond. Our position summary, this is represented here. So if you recall, January 20th, with our rebalancing initiative for the budget, at that time, the city reduced 24 full-time equivalent positions, so reduction of $7.6 million implemented into the budget for this year. It's important to note there were no layoffs with that at that time. This fiscal year, we included those reductions as part of the budget, and we reduced an additional 37.8 full-time equivalent positions. So that brought us to a total of 703.8 positions being adopted in the budget, spread out through the departments. Now we're going to hone in on the general fund. Looking at that, The general fund's revenues and transfers are anticipated to be $107.6 million for fiscal year 26-27, $101.4 million for revenues and transfers in for 27-28. The two-year budget for the general fund expenses are comprised of $107.6 million fiscal year 26-27 and $109.2 million for 27-28 expenses. The two-year budget shows that there's a structural deficit still there that remains. And for fiscal year 26-27, we're bringing in $7.3 million in the local economic augmentation fund, or we call it LEAF reserves, to balance the budget. And you'll see that in 27-28, it shows that there's a gap, and we'll have to find a solution for that as we go forward. Looking at Measure U particularly, Measure U revenues are anticipated to be $26.8 million for 26-27, $27.3 million for 27-28. 69% of those dollars support 132 full-time equivalent positions for the city. And here too, you'll see that there's a structural imbalance because our expenses are higher than our revenues coming in. We're able to cover it this year using one-time fund balance savings from the changes we made in January 20th, but we'll have to keep a close eye on that because that's not anticipated to occur in future fiscal year. Moving on to enterprise funds. Enterprise funds are comprised of water resources for water and wastewater, solid waste, transit, and radio funds. They make up 48% of the total revenue and 49% of the total expenses for the city. They are restricted funds that are self-supporting by funding operating and capital expenses through charges or rates collected for their services. You'll see there's some increases. Several large capital projects are planned for the water resources funds. Examples of that are the reservoir rehab project at $4 million, water discharge, wastewater discharge upgrades, $11 million in 26-27 and $34.4 million in fiscal year 27-28. There's also some well upgrade projects. Those are some of the significant ones there. The radio fund accounts for and houses the location and costs anticipated revenues associated with the city's 700 megahertz trunked radio communication system and other technology-related equipments, and that we partner with other municipalities and the school system for that system. And the surplus shown there is a reserve that's being set aside for replacement costs. Looking at our capital and maintenance expenses, in all, the capital improvement plan for maintenance and equipment projects, there are 52 capital projects that are planned, approximately $158.3 million in appropriations, comprised of $50 million in projects for the first year and $108.3 million in the second year. They're funded by many sources. You can see that on the chart to the left. And the general fund is funding $1.5 million in fiscal year 26-27 and $850,000 in 27-28 for projects related to heating and AC, HVAC for the police department building that are necessary and for some other necessary maintenance upgrades to citywide property. Also, the mobile equipment replacement and expansion budget includes $12.8 million in appropriations for 38 pieces of equipment for replacement. Some concerning issues, I'll remind you, is that the enhanced roadway funding that comes into this fund is being reduced by $1.6 million, or 65% of that funding is being reduced. And that was based on a study that was commissioned by utilities related to their charges and the way we are charging for those enhanced roadway fees. Also, Public Works, they do have in their Public Works budget $100,000 set aside for citywide maintenance of facilities and facilities assessment Included in their packet is an attachment that shows more detail on that as requested. And this is a concern as we go forward because we'll need to find a funding source to fund our building needs and maintenance needs, streets, things like that. Looking at the chart, this is a history of our reserves, the historical reserves, and our projections going forward. Here, as we look at these balances, keep in mind that it's vital that the city maintain a core reserve of 16.7% or 2.5 months of operating. That estimates a minimum of 24 million in general fund reserves that we need to maintain just for cash flow purposes, for any emergency purposes, things like that. That's a best practice. And best practice from rating agencies and things like that is upwards of 20 to 30% in reserves. Okay, from January 2nd, there were a couple of amendments I want to bring to your attention, and we've included these amendments into the budget. So the first amendment is related to a request from Public Works. It was submitted subsequent to us getting the printed document done. But this is related to some asphalt and traffic safety needs. It's a request of $627,047 funded by Measure A for some equipment and 2 vehicles. And so the total cost is included in the budget, and that's funded by Measure A funds. And the second amendment relates to the Paul Nelson Aquatic Center. If you recall, at our hearing, we had quite a bit of public comment and conversation about the pool. And so we did get right to work on that, and on June 8th, city staff met with representatives of the YMCA, Allen Hancock College, Santa Maria Swim Club, and Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley. And we discussed various solutions. Mayor, you were there, and Councilmember Soto, you were there at that meeting, and we talked to everyone around the table about what can we do and what are solutions moving forward. We talked about possible fundraising events, modifications to staffing of lifeguards that we will look into, the review of the city's contract with the school district, and we also discussed with the YMCA their need to use our pool this next year and having its members come to our pool, which they can help offset with revenue from them. So we included that all in, and we also looked through the budget and looked through some of our capital projects we believe we can cancel for this upcoming year. And so we're looking to provide this one-time solution to keep the pool open during those winter months. And so that would entail canceling the RV hookup for park hosts. That was included in the budget, $100,000. It would include canceling the $200,000 project for the Elks Field lighting. And also we'd bring in that revenue from the YMCA, $44,000. And with that, there's also a budget mechanics of a transfer from capital, $300,000, just to explain the numbers. And so this is outlined also, this issue is outlined in the resolution in section 7, which gives the authority to the city manager to make these modifications by October and keep the pool open. So looking at the total budget, if you look at the second year, almost a $500,000. So we're pushing up towards there. And so looking at fiscal year 26-27, incorporating those changes, we have total appropriations at $369,313,011. Second year, $425,320,959 with those changes. I want to recognize again the budget team, staff, all their work. They're here tonight. Thank you so much. I want to recognize the directors, all of their staff. We have done a ton of work to get here, but I want to also point out that we have a lot of work ahead of us as well. And so just some reminders of some of the work ahead. You know, we have a hiring chill in place. We plan to keep it in place. We're meeting weekly with the city manager, HR director, looking at the positions, following up with directors as needed. And so we'll continue that practice and see if there's anything we can hold as we go forward. That's really helped us in addressing these budget challenges without having to do layoffs. Looking ahead at different revenue options, thank you for adopting the fees last meeting. We incorporated all that into the budget. We'll be looking at other revenue solutions, ideas that come up. We're happy to look into those as we move forward. And it's not just a cutting budget. We also want to look at our revenue options so we can bring in additional funds. Also, our capital outlay project, I talked about the concerns with the capital fund, but we need to work on a funding plan for that and for the maintenance that we have ahead of us. So we maintain our facilities. Continuing to work on short and long-term budget solutions. So I know everyone here is committed. We're going to be working together with you, your council, and working on solutions so we can find and resolve that budget as we move forward in fiscal year 27-28. And also Measure U, a reminder on that one too. You know, knowing that it's it's not, the expenses are outweighing the revenues. We need to work on that as well and see what options we have there. So tonight, asking for you to adopt the budget as presented and provide direction that we can incorporate into the budget and adopt from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Yes.
Ms. Soto?
Thank you. We were earlier talking about the changes to expediting, I think, the CUP process or the permits for small businesses. And with the limited, employees or staffing levels in community development, like how would there be an impact there to the changes that we're also trying to implement in expediting some of these permits for small businesses, and how would that be absorbed?
Councilmember Soto, thank you for that question. What we're seeking to do with the Small Business Initiative is really cut out unnecessary work. So there will be a benefit in terms of fewer hours of staff time that are dedicated to those functions, and that will aid immensely in the streamlining. There's really minimal avenue for us to, if we do need to go through a public hearing process for a CUP or something similar, there's really very limited opportunity to make that faster. We have noticing periods, we have to convene the planning commission, or in some cases it goes on to the council. So you're absolutely correct. We do not have sufficient staffing to expedite every project that comes in the door as much as we wish that we could. So instead, we're looking to strategically cut out things we don't necessarily need to be doing.
Got it, thank you. My other question is pertaining to the leaf reserve and us fully exhausting, well, almost fully exhausting it to a little bit under 1 mil through this one-time transfer. When can we expect potential scenarios being presented by staff to City Council so that we have ample time to discuss and I don't know, I'm thinking about scenario planning if needed.
Yes, thank you for the question. I had planned on bringing a reserve policy update during the budget process, but we are working on finalizing the fiscal year 2024 audit. We are going to be doing that in the next 2 weeks by June 30th. And so just as a precaution, taking all that into account, want to finalize that and then bring the reserve policy in front of you with some recommendations. So it will be soon as possible, likely in July or the beginning of August.
Oh, okay. And I think on that same note of us completing that audit, at the last meeting, we learned about the leaf reserve being overdrawn. I'm curious to what controls we're going to have in place moving forward to prevent something like that happening again. And then I'm also curious if there were any other funds. I know we have the Economic Stabilization Fund, the OPEB reserve. I'm sure I'm missing one other one, but I'm just curious if there were any other funds impacted.
As far as we know, none of the other funds were impacted, and we're still reviewing that, though. One thing we're going to try to do is the city hasn't had a reserve schedule incorporated into its budget, so we're going to develop one. And so we'll be tracking through our budget book every year what's transfers in, what's transfers out. At the point of the budget, we do look at that all the time because things change. Sometimes we don't have to use the reserves. But at that point in time, at budget time, we'll have a reserve schedule that we're planning to incorporate. So that'll be new. Another thing is with our budget module that's going to be developed with the enterprise resource planning system, that will give us better tools for tracking, and the reserves can be incorporated into that and produce schedules. And so it'll be more transparent. It'll just really help us going forward. So, and the other thing is we want to catch the audits up. We want to be on time. And so it's a goal of our department and the city. And so the only thing is that one late makes the next one late. But if we can just catch it up, it's just going to take some time, but that is our goal. And once we're there, that'll really help us with our projections and our tracking.
Thank you. My other question is regarding the 334K for the pool. I see that one of the ways in which we're going to close that gap there is through the pausing of two, I think I saw capital projects, one which was the Elks Field lighting for $200,000. I'm eager to hear from the Rec and Parks Department or you as to what impact that would have on that field delaying the lighting.
Do you want to come up?
So thank you for the question, Madam Council Member. I don't have a study ready to present to you, but we can have one shortly and assess the situation to give you a clear picture.
Yeah, I appreciate that. If we're going to delay one capital project when I think at the last meeting, when the budget was presented in full, the last meeting, I asked if there were any capital projects that could be delayed, and they were all critical. And so I'm just curious, not that I am very much in support of this, but I just want to make sure what we're voting on and what we're delaying here.
And I can lend a little bit of color to the Elks Field to the extent that I'm familiar with it. There's old lights. There was a question, I think, last council meeting of how quickly can those be replaced. We have old lights out there that they're halogen bulbs, and the wiring in them is old. And we have old everything's old. And so there was a proposal to try to update those to a newer standard light. This delays that.
Okay, but they still operate.
So far as I know,
They turn on.
the last that I understand is that they do. But I'll have to defer to Rec and Parks whether or not they work today. There's probably some that are out, more than likely. And as they burn out, they have to pull new wire up to those lights to fix some of them because the wires burn out. And so it can be complicated. There's not a lot of people with the equipment. It's very expensive. And so you get to a point where you're like, it makes sense to replace the whole thing. So it was likely an upgrade to that.
Okay.
So there are scheduled repairs for the lights that are out. And my understanding is supplies are, we're waiting on supplies, and a contractor will be scheduled to make those repairs. This capital improvement would provide a longer-term solution so that repairs are not necessary so frequently as they are right now. So the lights function with some interruptions to some of the bulbs, but those are to be scheduled to be repaired. This will delay a longer-term repair on those fields.
Okay. I don't know if there's any other context that will be provided.
Yeah, it started off as a $1.5 million project to replace everything, and then it changed to let's replace what's absolutely needed,
okay.
and now it's
Okay.
being deferred.
That's good to know. Thank you for that clarification. And then my last question for now, kind of going back to scenario planning. From what I read, we don't necessarily have a plan yet for year 2 of the budget, other than more revenue coming in through, from the support, with the support from the voters of Santa Maria. And so, aside from that, is there anything else that you can share in terms of how scenario planning for year 2?
We will be working with all the departments and anticipate going through another cycle of what can be reduced, keeping that hiring chill on where we can, and trying to free up, expenses that are within the budget as well. And so we're just going to keep working on it and work towards getting the budget balanced.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak or written comments?
I do have one public comment by Gary Michaels, but I don't see him here, and I think he may have left.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion, a second?
I'll second it.
No, I didn't make the motion.
Nobody
I
has
did.
motioned.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second
Okay,
it.
thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Bethia,
Aye.
Councilmember Soto,
Aye.
and Mayor Patino.
Aye. The next item are resolutions amending election resolutions regarding submission of a question to the voters of the general municipal election to be presented by Donna Schwartz, Chief Deputy City Clerk.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, this report is adoption of resolutions, as the mayor said. On June 2nd, City Council adopted Resolution 2026-85, calling a general municipal and special municipal election on Tuesday, November 3rd. For the election of certain municipal officers, filling a vacancy, and for the submission to the voters a question relating to adding Chapter 38B, imposing a transaction and use tax, and adopted 2026-89, setting priorities for filing written arguments regarding a city measure and directing the city attorney to prepare an impartial analysis. The ballot measure language was amended to reflect sustaining and enhancing general services, whereas Measure U remains focused on public safety. The recommendation before you is to adopt the resolutions amending, for calling and giving, and the submission to the voters, and then adopting a resolution amending, setting priorities for filing the written arguments. And both these resolutions has the wording that was amended for this measure. And this really concludes my report, and if there are any questions, I'm going to go ahead and refer them to the Assistant City Manager, Chun Wu.
Are there any questions from the council on this at all?
I
Go ahead, Ms. Soto.
I see the fiscal considerations that are presented in the report. I know it's difficult to project, but do we have any concerns on sales tax revenue not keeping pace with what's projected?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Soto, generally, no. We consult with HDL, and they provide reports on sales tax, and I think usually our projections come pretty close. And so even if you think about the 1% Measure U, there's some years in which I think revenues came in 26 million, sometimes it's 27 million. So the projection here is 13 million. I would say, that's a ballpark figure. It may be more, but I would say this is a little bit on the conservative side.
Got it.
Any other questions, comments?
No.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion? Oh, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak or written comments on this?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just,
Go ahead.
I wanted to say this in the last item, but it also pertains here. I just really want to thank, staff for working so diligently on a really challenging budget year, and for working with us, proposing solutions. I was really grateful to have participated in the meeting that we had with the folks who are very passionate about keeping our pool open, and I appreciated the efforts that were taken there. And, we need to find ways to bring in revenue, and this is what's presented in front of us now. And I just, like I said, I just want to say thank you.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Bethia,
Aye.
Councilmember Soto,
Aye.
and Mayor Patino.
Aye. I do want to thank all the staff that worked on the budget, the department heads, and the cutting that they had to do. And Ms. Campbell, you haven't, I know you haven't been here this long, but you really got to know all the departments, and you seem like you've been here for a longer time because you really know all the departments and are able to answer so many of our questions. But this was really, really tough, and a lot of people contributed to this so that we could make the policy decisions up here. Next will be a report, and I guess our Deputy City Manager, Chun Wu, will be making that report.
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I do want to excuse City Manager Dave Rollins. He's ill, but I do want to comment on the budget process and our finance department and the work that's been put in, and all the departments. I think it may be easy to miss. In one of the slides, it shows how we went from about 745 employees, and now we're at 703. And that's a real reduction of employees. And in the same time, we are still providing the services. We are still serving the community. And so, I think there's been a lot of effort on the part of the departments to maintain a very high quality level of service, to maintain continuity of operations, and that's not to be overlooked. And even now, I think that the current budget, it shows that reduction of employees from a few years ago, and we're still implementing a hiring chill. And so departments are still doing everything that they can to provide a good service to our community. And our last agenda item, there was a polling for the sales tax measure, And the polling was good because I think our residents are satisfied with the services that they receive from the city of Santa Maria. It's a reflection of that. So I just wanted to provide that comment. We have one meeting in July, and that would be the July 7th meeting. There'll be a recess for the second meeting in which we would not meet. So one meeting in July, we have scheduled a proclamation for Recreation and Parks Month. We also have the Urban Water Management Plan. We have the assessments for landscape maintenance districts and special benefit zones. And there are some other items that may go July 7th or it may go in the August meeting, but that concludes the city manager's report.
So we'll just have the July 2nd. Okay.
7th.
7th?
July 7th.
7th, okay. There. Okay, now we'll go over the oral reports of council members. Ms. Soto, can we start with you?
On June 8th, I attended the meeting with you, Madam Mayor, and the folks from Paul Nelson Pool. And today I was at the budget county hearings. Those are all my reports.
Thank you. Mr. Bataya?
Sunday, June 7th, I attended a Mixteco Agricultural Fair at Buena Vista Park. Monday, June 8th, cutting ceremony for the Japanese Community Center. Monday, June 8th, attended the Westside Little League Championship game at Oakley Park. Wednesday, June 10th, attended the Theft Prevention and Business Partnership meeting at the PD. Wednesday, June 10th, I attended the Ella Hancock College barbecue event. Thursday, June 11th, attended the VIP Economic Forecast. Friday, June 12th, I attended the Leadership Santa Maria Valley graduation. Monday, June 15th, I attended the Santa Maria Police pinning ceremony at the PD.
Thank you. Councilmember Flores?
I attended the Communify meeting. June 5th, I went to Angry Chicks ribbon cutting ceremony. June 8th, I attended the Japanese community ribbon cutting ceremony. June 10th, I went to the Allen Hancock College. June 10th, I also went to the Fighting Back Coalition meeting that they had. June 11th, I attended the VIP reception economic forecast. And then June 12th, the meeting at Hancock College for the economic forecast meeting. And June 15th, Santa Maria badge pinning ceremony.
Thank you. June 2nd, I did the Ben Hayes show in the morning, and Ms. Flores will be doing follow-up tomorrow morning. June 3rd, I attended the Public Works Week barbecue. I attended the CALCOG board meeting and Planning Commission meeting. On June 5th, the League of California Cities Policy Committee, and I attended the Communify 2026 Awards dinner, where Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley, Edwin Weaver was recognized. June 8th, attended the Japanese Community Center ribbon cutting ceremony. On the 9th of June, the Recreation and Parks Commission meeting. On June 9th, the Block Grants Advisory Committee. On June 10th, Santa Barbara SBK North County Subregional Planning Committee. Attended Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley Coalition meeting. And later that day, the Community Leader Barbecue at Allen Hancock College. On the 11th, I did the VIP reception at Santa Maria Valley Chamber Economic Forecast. And no, I didn't do the reception. I did the economic forecast at Hancock College. And the 15th, I attended the Santa Maria Police Department badge pinning and promotion ceremony. And that was really nice, Chief Williams, to see all these young people, men and women, that are new in our police department. They just look like they're getting younger every year, and the promotions. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
I failed to mention in my report, I apologize for it being so delayed, but given that I just want to acknowledge Mr. Hall for his persistency. And given that we have new members on the City Council, I would like to propose that we schedule in a future agenda a review of the current model lease agreement for mobile home parks in the city of Santa Maria. Perhaps it could be tied, not tied, but it could be subsequent to when the ordinance that has been worked on by Community Development and the Planning Commission. And so I don't know if I have support from my colleagues to review that model lease.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do that. So,
Okay, it's fine. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned.